this
episode
fine
16.
No. I'm Miranda. This is Josh. In case you don't know, we are Clutter Magazine Gallery here in Beacon, New York. We are also the Designer Toy Awards and 5 Points Festival. Look us up online. We also have with us the amazing CZ13 all the way from England. Check him out online. And we have the mighty Tanaka. Here it goes.
Tanaka.
Yeah. Right in Beacon, New York.
Oh, wow.
Oh. The glasses. So we're sorry that we had to cancel last week's episode, but we got COVID in our house, so we had to reschedule it to this week. So here we are.
Yeah, so we're doing like a crazy double episode.
And today,
has everyone survived? You okay?
Everyone is getting better.
Yeah.
Yes,
good.
It's just dragging on and on, but everyone's getting better.
Did you post that picture of the 4 tests?
No.
She tested me 4 times in a row. You just sent that around to people?
No, I just kept it to myself.
Send it to me.
Oh, okay. People were like, how many times did Miranda test you? It was like a rack of tests one morning.
One time I tested you 4 times and they're all negative, but you definitely had it. It showed up like 5 days later.
No, it was like, I think on day 8, I showed up as positive, very, very faintly positive.
I did 4 tests in one day just to be like, is this normal?
Yeah, because I was
tell me if I'm wrong, but he's patient 0, right?
We all got it like back in the day, didn't we? Do you know what I mean? So how has it changed like now? Is it different? Does it feel different?
Does it feel different?
This time was the mildest. Like, because we had it again. We had it back in 2020.
Yeah.
And we had
with the OG COVID crew.
Yeah, we had
shout out.
Yeah, what's up? Especially to Rob, survived a heart attack. We love you. And then we had it again in April of this year.
Yeah, it was right around your birthday.
Of this year. And then that time was like being pressed down by like the hand of God, just like crushing me. And this time
different every time then, yeah?
This time was the mildest.
Yeah. Okay.
This was just crummy because
that's good.
The kids got it.
Yeah. It's good to get it out of the way early in the school year. So that's good. So I'm sorry if anybody out there has COVID too and you're stuck at home, because that sucks. But at least we're on the other side now. So that's great. So today we have 2 awesome guests.
Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
We have the amazing 2PetalRose from England, and we also have Jason Freeny, the master of dissection.
From Long Beach, Long Island.
Long Beach, Long Island. Which is your favorite COVID? that's what Jason's asking us. None of them. They all suck.
So this is a question I have not gotten to ask CZ all week because we've been so sick.
If you can ask him about the Queen, because maybe we should wait for Liam.
All right, fine.
Because we've got 3 Brits, the triangle of Brits.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. All right.
So we're going to talk to Liam about the drop that's happening tomorrow, which is the next Oni bot, which we'll just really show really quick, and then we'll talk about later because that's exciting. So we have that to talk about. Any other business before I bring these guys along?
Hear ye, bring this Clutter Live to order.
I mean, I'm pretty excited about the upcoming shows that we have this weekend. We got the Rainbow Sparkles and the Jagbot.
Yes.
This is one piece from Rainbow Sparkles. This is Bakan.
So dope.
Who we love. And
do his eyes move, or is that just my brain?
No, his eyes don't move. It's your brain. He looks like his eyes moves because of the circle.
My brain is like literally inserting like its eyes doing this.
But his arms do move, so you can like make him like have a crazy.
So it's great.
And then we also have Jagbot, which is Jag. Just another glass blower. I'm trying not to get the light, but I'm not going to be able to because it's glass. So
have we done the sneak?
We've posted of the. Oh no, we haven't of the Jagbot. No, but I don't know if there's one here right now.
There's one in the back. Maybe we can show it later.
Maybe.
Well, hey, let's
bring on
Liam so we can talk about the Queen.
All right, let's do that. So all the way from sunny London, we have Liam, aka 2PetalRose.
Hello.
Hey. Now he can ask a question about the Queen.
Well, so I mean, you're like at ground zero.
Right? We go straight into the Queen, right?
Yes, straight to the Queen because that's all anyone's talking about.
It's literally, I mean, it's happening right now. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I wanted to ask CZ if he gave a shit at all, because I think CZ's relationship with the royals is complicated.
As a queen, I don't care. Like, I just think, as an old lady that's got a family and stuff, it's sad, man. Do you know what I mean? It's sad that she's passed, but like the whole royal thing, man, I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. So like, I feel sorry for her family and that, because I know what it's like. But like everyone else in the country, man, like fucking hell. There's people on the fucking news like crying and shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, son, sort it out. Like. Fucking hell.
Well, I can't say now how emotional I am about it, can I?
How do we follow that up, Steve?
Yeah,
just doing that for me.
Ignore Cece. Are you sad, Liam?
But this is just one thing.
I'm kind of with Cece on this one. I think it's strange. The couple of things I heard were quite true, and she's been everyone's queen, right? So if you're sort of my, I don't know, our parents' generation, she was always queen. So I think there's something quite epic about it. But
yeah,
Izzy's right. I think I don't know. Like you just kind of think I can't feel personable about it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Just it's something removed, And today was the big thing with people queuing up to see the casket, and the queues were 5 to 10 miles long. I can't fathom it. I don't get it.
Well, I think the thing is that she was like everybody's grandma. So she's always been there for most people that are around in the UK now, for whole lives.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily that she was like a figurehead, the death of a figurehead. It's more the death of like this old lady that was always around bringing comfort and like doing the Christmas message. And like when shit's going weird, she's on TV and like.
Actually, so something cool did happen. So my daughter's 7, and at her school they all wrote letters to the Queen about, I don't know, 6 months ago, right? This was the best reaction from my daughter. So the Queen replied, obviously handwritten, from herself, but she replied to the class and said, "Oh, thank you for all your letters. It's very sweet." So I informed my daughter the other day, and my son, but my daughter, and I said, "I just let you know, the Queen unfortunately died." And she said, "Well, at least we got a letter just before she did."
There you go. That's so cute.
Yes.
So therein lies the kind of I don't know. It's I understand people want to be a part of something historic, So these few days, people queuing up and trying to be part of history. I kind of understand it to a degree if that's what you want to do. But personally, no, I'm with Cece. I don't get it.
And you're right. It's an event, right? It's an event.
Yeah.
Historic event, and I found myself watching it in the background. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm interested in it, and I'm glad that I'm seeing it happen. But yeah, personally, for me, I don't really give a fuck. Yeah,
I think it's one of those things, isn't it? Where say if we hadn't just been through a worldwide pandemic, where we all just tick some, I don't know, thing that we never thought we'd experience off, right? And then you go, well, we've achieved something quite big in life. The idea of now queuing up 10 miles to see the Queen's casket, I'm like, nah, you're right.
Absolutely.
It seems like a crazy amount of time to wait in line to see a casket.
I know there's so many centuries of history around the royals in the UK that it's just a continuation of that for people. I think that they want to be part of that history of queuing and being there.
But you can't even take a picture.
No, I know.
Like you can't even take a selfie.
There's camaraderie around the people that are in the queue too. They're all like, oh, we've been through a pandemic, and it's like their wartime almost.
Yeah,
and that's
I think I can understand it. I just personally I can't get there.
Right. No, I wouldn't be queuing up right now if I was there. But
I was watching it. I was watching it on Sky News, right?
Yeah.
And they brought up a fucking QR code in the corner.
Yes.
And if you scan it, you can watch it live 24/7. Like you can watch a casket. So like I'm thinking, if I can't see later,
oh my god,
I'm gonna see if like one of the guards
falls asleep.
She rises from the dead.
The other thing that I was explaining to somebody is that, the UK went through wartime, like real war on its own soil. And I don't think a lot of Americans can understand that too. And so our parents' generation really understood that like, going through something like that. And she was the figurehead of that. And so I think that's also part of it too. But so now we have a king.
It was a different time, for like our parents and stuff like that. Like my mum and dad are like, they really cut up and it's really affected them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
that generation of people, I think maybe the royal family meant a hell of a lot more to them. But where the world's changed, it's just changed, man. And like, we've all got our own shit going on, and we've just evolved into like, dude, what do they do for us? Like, I've got my own problems today. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
They're not going to phone me up and help me out. They just don't really play a role in my life.
But they are kind of apolitical, or they're supposed to be apolitical. They're right above the politics of it, which is also probably a reason that it unites the country, because everybody will go out to see the Queen, but not everybody will go out for voting, for instance, you know?
But the Americans are obsessed with the royals, though. Let's be real. I mean, like, there's nothing that Americans love more than a good royals drama. So this is really like, you know, on.
I used to love the royals when I was
totally
younger.
into the hot goss.
Totally into it, so.
Yeah.
The royals. But so I had this other kind of weird question about it. Do you think that it was possible to have a queen for so long because the figurehead was a woman? Like, could the UK have had a king for that amount of time, or would you guys have totally revolted because like men just like can you imagine if Charles who's like this effete weirdo? Is that you guys use that word over there in England? Effete?
Sure.
Because like when he did that thing with the pen case with the and he made his face, and I was like, yo, if this guy's gonna be on TV for the next 50 years, he's gonna get crucified. Like, she was at least she was blue collar. Like, I've heard people complain that when they went to actually hang with her, they couldn't believe how actually like eating out of Tupperware and like normal she was.
Yeah.
And he has like servants that bring dressers. Like if he goes to stay somewhere else, like,
I think you're thinking of it like he's Trump or something. But like this is a firm. Do you know what I mean? This is a fucking company. The Royals is a company, so he'll be like coached. They won't be just like, we can't tell him. It's a company decision. Do you know what I mean? So he'll be trained into how he's supposed to be. I don't think he'll be this tyrant, egotistical idiot, because it'll be just like, dude, you can't do that.
Right.
And he'll be like, okay.
That's true. That's true. He's right.
He's going to get feedback.
Right. Yeah.
I think that Charles is going to get more feedback now that he's on TV more.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
To cut it the fuck out.
But anyway, there's not going to be a queen for generations to come. So.
Was CZ, correct me if I'm wrong, I can't remember, but Charlie, did he talk to plants?
Did he
Prince
talk
Charles,
to
was there a thing where he used to? I remember on the news, and it was like he talks to plants.
I think it is.
You're right. No, I think you're right. I vaguely remember something in the back of my mind about this happening. So I think you're right. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Yeah.
No, wait.
The king of plants.
One other piece of hot goss. I don't know if you've been following the Daily Mail because you guys have been busy watching the actual funeral. Yeah. But there's a love child in Australia.
Of whose?
Charles and Camilla. And he's 51, and he was adopted. He was given up for adoption when he was like 2 months old.
Some American nonsense.
No, he's suing to become the Prince of Wales in English court now.
Oh,
Is that from your Daily Mail thing? Is that your Daily
Mail?
It's made it up.
Daily Mail. I'll pull up the article. I'll tell you his name.
We've got so sucked into the royals now. We need to get back onto toys.
And one last thing. I'll bring it back.
Okay.
If the Queen was a toy, she'd be a Safubi corgi.
Yeah, she probably
right.
Would. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
That was deep.
Thanks.
Deep.
I'm sure that someone's got to be conjuring that up, right?
Yeah.
I
just gave that out like a donut on the street.
No one's thought about that.
Someone will do
original idea.
They're just coming out. They're just coming out everywhere. You can have that one.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
All right. So let's now move away from the royal family and let's talk about you and your family and where you grew up and how you grew up and what it was like and a bit of your story. How about that?
Me? Yeah.
You. Yes.
Where did I grow up? So I'm from London. I'm still in London, and I haven't really ventured that far from where I grew up, actually. So I'm still there. But so I actually I've got to point this out. I'm lucky enough. I was born in the 80s, so I experienced the best toys.
Yes.
And then obviously I grew through the 90s with the best music. So. Yeah. Absolutely lucked out, and it's one of those ones that I feel no matter how old I get, the fact that I've experienced those 2 decades is worth it. Trust me, it's
real,
absolutely incredible.
100%.
Absolutely.
So So yeah, I mean, through the 80s, I've got a brother that's 6 years older, so I was also lucky enough that when things were coming out, and I was maybe a little bit too young, I was getting that stuff. So Transformers, you know, in the earlier 80s, my brother was saying, "Look, you got to play with this stuff. Don't worry about all those." So I guess I've always loved toys, but from sort of mid 90s, I was in bands, and I thought that was going to be my calling. I was a guitarist, and you know, in bands for maybe 10 plus years, gigging. And I think one of the things about in the band, and I think you were in a band, right?
Oh, for like a second, yeah.
Well,
When I was young,
one of the crazy thing about it is if we had 5 people in a band, and when you were all trying to get along and do something uniform, I think it's really tough, especially for that long. So when I decided that, I thought, oh, maybe I'll do something on my own, and I thought about art. It was quite nice that I didn't have to run it past like 4 other people, and I could kind of go in my own direction.
Did you go to school for art?
Well, no. So art's been a funny one with me. So I did art at school, and I enjoyed it, but I never quite found my platform. My brother's always been the artist. My brother's the tattooist, and he's always been incredible. He can just draw something on a bit of paper straight off, and it'll just make complete sense. And for me, I was always like the person that would sketch something 10 times with rubber out, you know, rubbing it out and trying to get the lines right. I'm not what you call like a natural artist. I don't find it easy. It doesn't come naturally to me. Someone that has to continually work at it and try and better it and stare at it for hours and try and make it what's in my head. And I find it impossible to, you know, create something that I've got in my mind, and I just keep going, and it ends up looking like nothing like I envisioned it, because I find that impossible. But so going back, so I was always kind of thinking, oh, what do I do? You know, art wise, I'm not the best drawer. What do I? And I used to like doing graphics. I did a lot of web design, and then I think I was about, how old was I? In my teens sometime. My brother came back with these.
Hello? You still there?
Oh, you've got. Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh no. The Royals have turned off the internet. Good.
Nice.
So my brother came. He bought the 2 Kid Robot Moneys. Right, really. I think they were money. They weren't dunnies. They were monies. And he came back and he said, "Look what I found! I found these things, and you get to paint them up and customize them." And I think ever since that day, I was like hooked. That was it.
Do you know where he found them?
What's that?
Do you know where he found them? What store he was at? Like where?
Well, I think it was. Do you remember a place called the Play Lounge? And it was at the end of Carnaby Street.
Of course.
Now that was like my mecca for ages, because it was really, you know, in London, it was the only place that early on that you could get you know, vinyl toys and really good vinyl toys.
In fact, Adam was one of the first people to tell us to do the magazine. We went and asked like 3 people whether we should do it, and Adam was like, "Yes, absolutely do it." FORGET, but yeah.
But it really it was like a eureka moment. I was like, I think I found something that I think I think my problem with 2D was I couldn't see it from all sides, and I just couldn't make it make sense, or I couldn't get the angles right on drawings, and I could never just quite work it out. So they were always kind of static, and I still draw like that. Any prints that I've done are, you know, straight on and quite static, because I just don't have
more graphical.
Yeah, it's not that. But and then I did. Do you remember there was a blog called Vinyl? I think it was Vinyl Abuse.
Yes.
It was like around, you know, one of the first kind of vinyl blogs. And I started customizing a couple of monies, and I got on there, and I think JPK was on there. I don't, CZ, were you about on Vinyl Abuse?
Nah, I think that's a bit too early for my like.
It was like this. It was like it was really good. It was like old school forum style, right? And everyone you'd customize, and I kind of got to know a few people on there. And JPK was doing he was like customizing Mega Drives and, you know, showing his skills, and I started posting a few. I didn't really do many, and I kind of got to know a few people, and then I thought I'm just gonna see if I can make some toys. And my my dad ran this injection molding company, and he had all these. He made, you know, the like on a stage with the fireworks. There's these like little pin pots that go on the stage.
Yeah.
And they he made all like the little plugins for that. And I found all these pieces, and they had some of these parts were like, you know, like the Hershey's Kisses chocolates, right? He had these, and I turned them into this little bird thing, right? And I thought, I'm just going to put it up there and see if people like it. And I put it up there, and I sold a few, and that funded my first, you know, these Combat Kings that I made. And I put the money into some silicone and resin, and then I got a snooker ball to make the head for it. You know, just really like, how can I make these things? But because I built up a bit of a sort of a friendship with a few people on this site, I was just kind of selling to people and doing like, we used to do custom swaps with people. You know, you'd say, oh, I quite like your work. Well, I'll do you a custom if you swap it for me. I did that. And then it just kind of just carried on, really. I just kept going, and then I had a bit of a break from it. And that's kind of really how I got into it.
Did you go to that Money Shot show that they put on in Bristol?
No.
I don't remember you being there. Okay.
No. But it's funny, isn't it? So, I mean, I forget sometimes, like even back around about, I think I started doing 2006, 2007 or something like that. And it's a long time. Yeah. And there really wasn't a lot about then. I remember there was this one blog online that showed you how to make a silicone mold, a 2-part silicone mold. Anyway, and I saved it, and I was like, this is my manual on how to do this, because I couldn't find anything else about it. You know, there was this one guy who just said, this is how you make a toy. And I was like, brilliant. There
was no information back then. That's
not at all.
No.
Not at all. And now, I mean, don't get me wrong, I get, and Caesar, you probably get the same. You guys get the same. People will just email me and go, right, how do I make a toy? How do I release it? You just go, whoa.
Yeah.
I just, you know, like you just think, come on, like there's so much out there. You could just stick it in Google.
But also as well, like the adventure of having nothing, right? And then just, you know, like you say, you've made a fucking bird out of these things, and you know, and you've learned from that, and then you've gone on and you've leveled up a little bit, and then you can make a 2-part mold, and then the whole progress of it is the best bit about it. So I know people straight away, they're just like, dude, how do I make a toy? I want to get it produced and all that. And it's like, just slow down, man. Do you know what I mean? You've got to like just live it.
Build an audience, right?
Yeah. But it's all. I'm totally with you, 100%, Caesar. Like it's about that journey, and part of the enjoyment for me, and why I still do it after all these years, is that you have an idea, and you're like, how do I make that work? How do I create that? And Caesar, you had the same thought about doing digital artwork, and you just taught yourself, right? You just were like, I'm all in on that, and I find that incredible. And I have the same thing. I'm like, I've got an idea. How do I do it? And then you spend so long like researching, figuring it out, and tons of money wasted on rejected, efforts at trying to achieve something. And then someone turns around and says, how'd you do it? And you're like, so much money and months of work.
Right. But the other thing is that you can't actually teach that stuff anyway. You can read how to do it. You can show someone how to do it. You can tell them how to do it. But actually, until you've done it and gone through the process, it's not going to be, it's trial and error. So much of it, and still trial and error. We still make stuff. And we're like, why didn't that work? All right, well, then back to the drawing board. Like, every time it's like something new, different issue. Like, what's happened with the resin today? Like, boom, like
the graveyard, right? I've got boxes of just bits, but I keep them. I collect stuff. Like when you're trying to achieve, and you collect bits, don't you? Like, I might need that, and I've got most of my, all around here. It's just so many random parts.
I have stuff going back 20 years.
Yeah.
And I throw away like the bigger things, but like I have little, because also they inspire you. You look at them and you're like, that thing, like I wanted to do that, and it just brings your thoughts full circle.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I've thrown away like little, I don't know, like shapes and things that I think, if I do a custom, that will come in handy.
Yeah.
And guaranteed, the minute I throw it away, I'll be doing a custom, and I'll be like, where's that odd shaped key thing that I had? And I was just going to be able to find it. I'm like, I threw it away. I know.
Exactly.
So I don't throw anything away.
No. Which
No.
is what's cool about Ron English's studio is he has like so much stuff, like drawers of dinosaurs, drawers of ducks, drawers of this, drawers of that.
Drawers of
Like,
Marge Simpson.
Yeah, whatever it is, he's just got like, it's great. It's so cool. So it's the same kind of thing.
And it's well organized because he's successful at it.
Yeah,
So he's
yeah,
able
he's
to
able to
do it. And it's funny too, like when you have achieved the level of success that Ron has achieved, he obviously goes and spends a certain amount of hours periodically just buying a ton of shit on eBay.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's just like, where'd you get this thing? He's like, I found it. So it's like at some point he just sits and he goes like, oh, yeah. And that's part of the accumulation process. But Liam's talking also, you're talking about just like literally like offcasts.
Yeah.
Broken things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I really do. I try not to throw anything away because even miscasts of stuff, and there'll be like a bit missing. I'll just be like, well, there was a time when I was casting some minifigures and the heads weren't coming out right, and I remember throwing them away, and I was like, I just can't do. It was going to take me too long to fill it, and really the resin that I'm using. But now I'm doing a figure that I'm chopping all the heads off to try and put a new head on, and I'm like, if I kept them all, I've got the bodies, and I didn't need the heads. So just learn from it. I don't throw anything away, and it's just everywhere. My loft, in the kitchen.
My
I'm
next
sure
goal
Susie's
is
the same too.
I want to inventory my boxes.
Yeah. I mean, and also you're always learning stuff. So something that was garbage 2 years ago, now you're like, oh well, I can fix it by doing this thing, which I've just learned.
The crazy thing about it is I got my first pressure pot maybe three years ago, something like that. I've been casting for years, and I've just been, looking up the ridiculous techniques to try and get rid of air bubbles. I mean, crazy, putting them on top of washing machines, crazy things. Where you just go, what are you doing? Buy a pressure pot. You're like, no, I've got a washing machine.
No, I'm going to find something else.
It's going to be. I don't need one. I'm going to find a different way. And it just, when you pressure pot, first time you cast something, you go, all right, fair enough.
No, but what we've done too, and I still want to hear about Cece's offcasts, but sometimes when we have a really difficult mold, we'll take a drill and we'll turn it on. Actually, we went further than this. We've actually like strapped a motor to the table.
Yeah.
And so you put your pressure pots on the table and you still vibrate the whole table just to get that like last ounce of, push.
The stupid stuff you have to do.
Yeah, it's like...
But this is all part of the DIY aspect, is what you were talking about. It's like, do it yourself, go and figure it out. And you can't be taught it because there's all these little tricks that you like, someone will tell you something, someone will tell you something else, and you put them all together and it adds up to like you figuring it out for yourself.
Yeah, and there's still things. There's still issues with casting that I'll get things I can't figure it out. And I'll find ways around it at the end, but I still
and then
struggle.
you ask all your network of people what they think, and that's when you can be helpful to each other.
Exactly.
At the very beginning, it's really hard to be helpful, but once you're at a point where you're like, I have this specific problem, then it's really
I agree. Yeah.
Okay, so
but CZ, do you offcast?
Oh, dude, I've got big tubs, big those big sort of plastic tubs.
Yeah.
So I've got like a print room, right? So I've got all the 3D printers.
Yeah.
I've got all the fucking CAMbots, right, stacking up. Do you know what I mean? I've got loads of them, and then I've got massive tubs just full of old resin, like a little stupid body, like or like a head that it's just got a tiny air bubble, but it wasn't quite good enough because it's sort of on the eye or something.
Right.
But I can't throw it away. I've just got so much stuff. I've even got old molds that they look like they're perished, like they look yellow, and they're supposed to be like that nice platinum see-through, but they're just yellow and stuff.
Yeah.
I can't throw them away.
Right.
No.
Just in case.
One time I asked Scott Wilkowski how much he offcast, and he looked me dead in my eyes and said, I don't offcast.
Magic.
I'm still thinking about that one.
Yeah, I had a similar conversation with him when I was at Decon, and it was when they released the figure, the toy did with woes,
Yeah.
I saw it, and it was just, I don't know I just kept thinking, how there's got to be something here. There's got to be
right.
Yeah.
Just looking at it, not trying to find a default, but it's got to be something, and it wasn't. It was just perfect.
Because he's
I think-
meticulous. I've watched him sculpt when he was here sculpting, and he was just like so meticulous.
I just think he's secretly got a box of offcasts.
And it's just
And
a
that's
turn one.
that's just
Maybe.
part of his mystique.
Velour, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I agree.
Or he's just a genius. We'll leave it there.
So,
The myth, the legend.
Yes.
so are you still involved in music, Liam?
Well, obviously my day job. I work in the music industry.
You have a day job?
I do, yeah.
You're 2PetalRose.
Tell us about your day job.
So
you work in the music industry.
I've got some weird idea about why that is, and I did toys full time for a little bit, and it's weird. Not many artists probably would agree with this, but for me personally, I always wanted to keep this as something that was on my terms, if that makes sense.
100%.
And what I mean by that is like, so I've got to pay my mortgage, I've got to pay my bills, and what I found is when I did it full time, I think my mind went to what sells rather than what I wanted to make, and it's a really hard balance because I just thought, oh, what sells? Oh, maybe I'll do some skulls, you know, and you immediately go to what people want rather than it being an outlet for me and something that I really am passionate about. So even though it is something, and I've contemplated again, just saying, oh, would I do it full time? I still really love doing it on my own sort of terms, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then also, do you love your day job?
I do. I've done it.
That's
I mean, that's it. I mean, I do really enjoy it. But again, I enjoy it to a degree. But this is still my my passion and my outlet. So it balances it in the right way, you know. So this is always that's something that when I finish a day's work, I'm like, brilliant. I can get on with this stuff that I really enjoy, and I can be creative. And so it's all about balance for me, I think. And
I think that's the struggle. That is the struggle of every artist in this toy world, whether they do it full time or not, is do I make the art that I want to make, or do I make the art that sells?
Yeah, but don't get me wrong, though, people can do it, you know, people and are doing it, you know. It's even though it's a strange, I think we'll all agree it's a bit of a strange time in this industry. I think, you know, obviously that's going to be the case after what we've all been through, and you know, people haven't really got. I mean, in art in general, people haven't got that spendable cash to spend on an art. So it is a strange time, but people do manage to do it. But I think, and I'm not saying I'd never do it as well. I think it's always just been a decision at the time. You know, I work with Lee, who ran Collector Display, and it's a really nice setup. You know, I get to do design work on the production side, which is great, and Lee's great, and he ran Collector Display really well, and we work. It's a really good team, and I get to work just on my customs when I get a chance and commissions, and it's just a nice balance at the minute. I'm enjoying it, so I kind of don't want to mess with the formula in a minute. I'm like, at some point when the day job becomes a bit much, I might be like, right, okay, now's my time, but
that's awesome.
Right now, it's just right.
Sense.
I just want to say hi to everybody in the chat. I see everybody coming in and saying hi. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Drop in any questions you want us to ask to Liam or Jason Freeny, who's coming up next. Hey, Prime. Nice to see you. It's really funny. He's never seen what you look like, so he thought you were a female. So there you go.
I had a couple of conventions. I had people saying, you work with 2PetalRose? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, we just assumed you were Japanese.
Oh, yeah, totally. First of all, what do you do for your day job in the music industry? And then we'll talk about the Japanese influence.
Music publishing.
Music publishing, there you go.
So you go after people and sue them for using music they're not supposed to be using?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, it's the other. I mean, it's not the record side. It's yeah.
Oh, really? I'm right. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry,
yeah. You know what? So when I left school, I pretty much went into music publishing, and I've done it for 20 years. So it's been my constant, and then which is great. But yeah, it just means that I get to and it's hard. I mean, you guys all know when you've got kids as well. Like, so you finish a day, you finish your work day, you get home, you get the kids down, and then have some dinner, and then you go, right, okay, now's my now's my creative time, and you do learn to compact that into, and you guys will know this, right? That time in the evening until the early hours of the morning, you just go all in, and you just get used to it, and you learn to live on about 4 hours sleep. But you do it because you love it, right?
Yeah. Exactly. So samurais, tell us about the Japanese influence. Where did that come from? Where's the
It's a funny one. I did. There was a show. It was a resin show in, I want to say in Texas, but I can't remember the show. 2009, and I had this Combat King figure, and someone said, "Oh, would you customize one for it?" And I turned it into a samurai, and it just kind of sparked this. Oh, that's what I was after, you know. So when I flipping back a little bit, so when I used to collect toys as a kid, I used to like the ones with all the accessories. For me, you got more bang for your buck, right? So you buy a toy. This one comes with a sword, a gun. It's got a backpack, and I used to get it like a G.I. Joe figure and be like, "Oh, I'm getting more for this one because it's got all the stuff with it." So my whole thing was when I made a samurai, I was like, "Brilliant!" So I can have a helmet with this. You can have a samurai sword. There's loads of accessories to it. So it just, I don't know, it just exploded some kind of inspiration, and I just thought that's me. And then obviously from that sparks an interest, and you go a bit deeper into the tradition and the kind of explore that world a little bit. And then obviously when I started making Mako and the geisha stuff, and then I was like, actually, again, it was about accessories. It was about, I could add in fabrics and things. So it was all about elements and different things that I could add. So you felt like you got more than just a figure. But it's funny. Like I absolutely love Japanese traditions and samurais and geishas, but it's quite aesthetic with me. I just love the look, and I love playing with that. I'm working on this one behind me. Where side is it?
Yes, the other side. Yeah. There you go.
Right. And it's backwards. I'm flipped, so I'm reversed.
Yeah.
So
It's confusing.
So that one, it's one I've been working on, and I've used gas masks in figures for years, and I really wanted to use this idea of putting them on a geisha and doing kind of subtle camos and things like that. So I'm working on that one at the minute, and I haven't tried it before. I didn't know how it was going to work. I didn't know whether or not I was kind of messing with something that would it look a bit much? Gas mask kind of, on something so beautiful, but I don't know, it's working. I like it, so let's just keep going and see what happens.
That's exciting to see the final thing.
I like the idea. I like that. I like that kind of split. You've got the geisha side of it, and then the gas mask just like, I don't know. It's edgy, man. I like it. It's all right.
It kind of feels. I don't know. It feels like something I've not seen before. Or something in that form. I don't think I've kind of seen that visually before. So, yeah, you know what though? Pain in the ass. Like I don't know what you think about this, Cece. To make a gas mask, right? And to make one fit a face with lenses in it with a magnet in the head. Oh. There's too much sanding involved.
Yeah.
We all joked, didn't we? Before any custom show, like when you do a custom show, and I unfortunately don't get to do many, but when I do, and there's a forum built on them, everyone before it, about 2 weeks before, it's like, still sanding, sanding.
Yeah, sanding.
So samurais. I've been into it ever since I did that first custom. It just kind of sparked something, but and then just Japanese art in general, and Japanese tradition. I've just gone in after that. But I just visually it just works for me, and I think once you've found your kind of subject, it just almost kind of you just explore that realm, don't you? You just think, right, what can I achieve within that? So it's been really fun just seeing what samurais and geishas I can come up with. It's been good.
And you have a really loyal fan base too. You call them what? We Are One Army. Is that?
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
That was a song actually. So 2PetalRose was, you know, the name came from me and my brother set up. Rose was my mum's name, and we were 2PetalRose. We said, it's going to be a house in our artwork. And my brother kind of took a different direction into tattoos, so I just kept the name 2PetalRose. But I don't know, like.
That's really sweet. Can I just say that's so I had no idea where your name came from, and that's really sweet and not what I expected.
Yeah, it totally made sense. It was just like, that's perfect. You know, we'll do that. But then the kind of name stuck when we were doing it, and my brother just was like, I'm going to go and do this. And I was like, I'm keeping the name because I love it. But it's just kind of stuck. But where was I going? So that's where the name came from.
Collectors, the We Are One Army thing.
Yes, We Are One Army. So yeah, I don't know. We did this song, and it was about that kind of collectiveness. You know, just a kind of because it's part of a bigger saying. It's what is I am you, you are me, we are one army. It's about a kind of just bringing people together and just being as one. Just one kind of entity, one being. It's a kind of peace thing, really. You know,
isn't it from I Am the Walrus?
It does feel a little bit like that, doesn't it? But but the same, there's exactly the same concept, really, and it kind of made sense for when we put the collectors group in. But you're right, it's been incredible. There's people that have collected I've got my very first toy that I released in 2007, and they're still collecting it. It's amazing. I can't believe people are still doing it. Sort of, you know, that many years after. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I remember one Toy-Con. I think it was the first Toy-Con I went to actually. And you sold out before it like opened, didn't you? Remember that? And you were just sat there like a plum, like everything's fucking sold out. Like, dude.
That's convention really 101 no-nos, Liam.
So actually, what I think what happened, it was really good, right? What happened at that Toy-Con was fantastic. So my wife said, "Oh, I'll come and help you." I was like, "Brilliant, let's do it." And I forget what it was, like 2015, Susie, or something? And she came along, and you're right, and it sold out really quick. And she turned to me, she went, "Oh, these actually, you're actually quite good. These sell quite well." And I was like, "Oh, you've gone like, so that hobby that you do, like sitting in your room painting." She was like, "Oh, actually, you can actually sell these." I was like,
it wasn't before it opened. It was just like straight away. I think everyone. You sold out, and it was
was amazing. And I think that was that the one that Huck
was there? Yeah,
Huck was there. Yeah, because he came over and he said to me, he said, "Where is everything?" And I said, I was like, "Oh, I didn't have many pieces. It was on one of the tables at the sides, wasn't it?" But it was incredible. I think, and I'm not just saying this. I don't think it still fascinates me if you. I don't know. You can create something from nothing, and people want to buy it. I think. I don't ever want to lose that feeling of just being completely like, oh my God, people are buying this. Like every release, if it sells out, amazing. If it doesn't, I'm still like made up that people are invested in, art that I've created. There's no feeling quite like that. It's incredible.
So we actually got a question that's kind of along the lines about how do you guys
before you go there, Alex? Can I ask? I had something just about that story.
Go on, quick.
Sorry, Alex. Sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry, I fucking love you, Tanaka. I remember you did a custom blank for our first blank show with Huck.
Yeah.
And I think Huck then maybe got on a plane right after that and came and like found you because he was so impressed with your matte black paint.
Yeah.
You remember him reaching out to you about that?
He did, yeah.
Was it soon after that he went to Toy-Con? Down?
You're so right. He asked me about that matte black, and I think I spoiled his dream a bit because I said actually it's the lack of finish that I always matte black. Like I always do like a matte finish. I always use like a. I mean, this is a whole nother.
This is real nitty gritty.
What varnish? Honestly, if I could tell people,
this is the nerd blog.
the struggles of varnish that I've been through over the years, and the amount of money that I've spent or ruined toys.
Yeah.
Sticky. Make them sticky.
Overspraying, sticky, then trying to dry it in ovens or near ovens in sunshine, and then trying to fix it. It's just, you know, once you find something that works, never go anywhere else.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
But yeah, so I said to Huck, I said, "Oh, it's just a matte finish," and he was like, I think he was expecting something more epic, and I was like, sorry.
"There's the fucking thing, right? They won't have it in the States. Like I've worked so many, like, you know, in the studio there, like I need a matte finish, and I know the matte finish I need, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying what it is, but I love it. You know what I mean? But you can't fucking get it in the States. Like, you'd never get it.
I think also part of the thing in the States is that there's like a real disparity between what you can just go to the store and buy and what you have to go to a specialty shop here to buy. So when CZ's over and it's like fucking Friday night and he's like, I need something, we run to Hobby Lobby and grab it, it's shit.
Yeah.
But if you're a professional and you know where to go, and I'm not going to tell you where to go, but there's places to go where you can not just buy really good stuff, but you can even have them like you can call them and be like, hey, I need you to mix something for me, and they'll put it in a rattle can for you, just the way you want it. But in the States, you have to, like, you know, 24 hours in advance. Think about it. It's like, whereas, like, you know, you go to just maybe the local art shop in England.
All I'm going to say is how
quality in general.
How
Right.
Done.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same in Japan.
Yeah.
Because we were working, I mean, we're still working, but, you know, we work with Tokyo Jesus a lot, and we work with Emi Takano a lot, and we were painting some stuff that she had, that we were working on with her, and she was like, oh, use
this paint.
She was like, use this paint. And like, I spent like probably 3 weeks searching for it in the States and never found anything applicable that looked the way her work looks. And it's like, she'd probably just walk into an art supply store in Japan and picking it up. And it's like, much higher quality.
You just find things, don't you? I mean, this is the whole part. This is what we were talking about earlier on about this journey. You find what works for you, and you just think, oh my god, how did I do this before this? But
I have a feeling
varnish is one of those ones that I've just been on such a journey with varnish that
this conversation's so nerdy
that we should get Jason.
We should get Jason Freeny in this conversation, because there's fucking smoke coming out of his ears, going like, I finish stuff all day. I sand.
Yeah.
No one knows.
Yeah.
Talking about sanding.
I teach people how to sand.
All right, well, let's come back to that, and let's wrap this.
Okay, we'll wrap up this segment with Liam, and then keep you and bring Freeny in and go back to the nurture.
Alex, ask that question, because it's a really interesting question.
All right, yeah. So it was posed. How do you guys feel about scalping and people buying your stuff solely to sell it on a massive profit? Is that just part and parcel of collecting?
Is that so? Is Iwu 1980? Are you not from the U.S.?
No, he's a UK, because he calls it scalping.
We call it scalping.
Yeah.
See, that's not what we call it here.
Call it flipping here.
Or we call it muling.
Or muling. No, but muling's different.
Muling's different.
Yeah.
Flipping.
Scalping.
Scalping is what we do with tickets.
Yes. Okay.
How do you feel about scalping, Liam?
I think it is. I think I've learned over the years that it's part and parcel of what we do. I don't really know. I've not quite made up my mind on what an effect it has on the artist yet, because you have no ability to change what's happening, and I think people get quite frustrated. And I get
it's not your stuff, is it?
Well, that's it. Yeah, and you know, and I don't know whether or not people doing it inflates what your work is worth, or then ultimately has a negative effect on it. It's weird, and I think it can have both effects. I think, you know, initially people were flipping it, and then suddenly you see your toys going for a certain price because they inflate the market in that, and then suddenly people go, actually, I'm not paying that, and then you see the drop off, and you go, then loads of people are trying to sell the toys, and then it almost feels a bit negative. So I don't know. I think it's always going to happen. I don't think you can change that. My views on whether or not it's right, I don't know really. I think it's just part of it. It's part of what we do.
I agree. Also, a good secondary market drives a good primary market. So, you know, a strong secondary drives a primary. So you need that to sustain.
Your work sells in the secondary market for such high prices sometimes that it makes me think of, and I don't know if you're the kind of artist that does this. So I guess my question is, do you ever give or sell pieces to someone and really expect them not to sell it?
Yeah.
Because that's part of the issue with scalping. I think a lot of times is people will bring you into their collection and be like, I'm not allowed to sell this one.
Yeah. The difficult thing is I think I've done that a few times, but like you were saying, there are quite loyal collectors, and I get notified of, sales going on within communities, and it's really hard for me because there's part of me that it's nice to know, but I almost don't want to be involved. I don't want to know because I like to try and take you try and take everyone at face value, and you go like you build up kind of friendships or whatever it is with the collectors, and you kind of go, okay, well, there's a certain trust there, and then when you see things happening out of your control, you're like, I don't know who to. I don't know who to trust, or I don't know if I'm doing the right, and it's really difficult. And I just think, well, all I can do is just take people on face value. This is how much this piece is. Unfortunately, what happens to it after that is out of my hands. But as long as it finally gets into the hands of someone that's going to look after it, then so be it.
Right. I'm sure Czee has experienced that too, especially in such a small knit industry where everybody really does know everybody. It is hard to not get your feelings hurt if you have a big collector that suddenly sells your stuff, or somebody that you're friends with that you see selling a piece. And it could be for many reasons, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't like get to you and like break your heart a little bit, Yeah,
it can get to you, and like Liam said, you need to not let it, but it does happen. Do you know what I mean? But I suppose like I said, it's not my stuff. It's not the artist. It's not my problem. Do you know what I mean? You have to sort of let it go a bit, and it's other people's stuff that they need to deal with, and we just need to make our things and be really grateful that people spend their money on it, and appreciate our art. But we have to sort of leave it there. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. Absolutely.
Do you feel that that you like collectors who want to buy your work solely for the art and not for the retail or the resale value? Do you feel like there's a different, do you feel there's a difference?
Like, can you spot it?
Yeah, there's absolutely. I mean, when you see, Caesar, I know you'll get this. When you see someone, posts a picture and there's a collection of your art and they've collected all these pieces, and you can see how proud they are to have that set up. It's absolutely incredible. Those pieces aren't going anywhere. They're in someone's collection and they've been there for years, and you're just like, that's amazing.
That's the old stuff, isn't it? You got the old thing at the back, and you're like, dude, wow, thank you.
But then you have to realize that someone might buy something, and and it is something that not everyone's going to be in for years, and people go through. I've had emails from people, and it's incredible. I've had people, especially in the last couple of years, that people said, look, I'm struggling at the minute. I'm really struggling. I don't want to part with these pieces, but I just wanted to give you a heads up because I didn't want you thinking I was flipping it. And I was like, I really appreciate that email. However, this is, you got to do what you got to do, and it's lovely. And I think there are so many different types of collectors, all in it for different things. But maybe that's what makes this such an interesting industry to be part of, and that's just the art world, isn't it? In general,
Yes, absolutely.
There's money to be made from things, and as long as artists, we are. And I think we're being fair, as long as you're fair with yourself, what you've put into something, and as long as you get back what you sold that piece for, really, you kind of got to let go after that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll ask you one more question before we'll talk about this awesome thing. Have you seen a change in collectors since you've become more popular, since throughout the years, a change in where they're from, kind of demographics they are, or not really? It's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, maybe. I suppose maybe. I mean, obviously, the Philippines in the last few years has become a huge collector base for toys. I mean, that probably driven by, Quicks, Wetworks, and Arm and Kendrick coming, as well. There's incredible artists out there, but the collector base out there is really strong. And that I don't think that's always been around. I think I always used to. It was mainly the US and the odd one. The odd person buying one in China maybe, and obviously the UK, not a lot in Europe, but the Philippines has become such a strong collector base in toys, and I don't know what's driving it. I think it is the artists that are doing it, but I know there's multiple conventions out there that do a lot for the industry as well. So I think probably that's been the biggest change. But the type of people buying, they're expensive toys, and not everyone gets it. Not everyone understands. I get messages from people saying, "Why is this toy cost £100? I don't understand." And you just go, "I don't. What can I say?" You're trying to explain how limited they are and how much they cost to make. If we're doing runs that, if you're doing a run of 200 figures, people don't quite realize that they're not pennies. They're not going to be a couple of quid. The margins in what we try and do, and sell at a fair price.
And it blows my mind when I see some of the Tokidoki products that are being sold for very, very cheap. And I'm sure you look at them the same way I do. They're amazing.
Yeah.
It's quantity. The injection molding, the attention to detail, the little extra bits and parts. And you're like, they must have made a ton of these. A ton.
Wow, so, I don't want to keep Mr. Freeny waiting too long, so I just want to say, thank you. We were so excited to work with you on CZ's Cambot platform. I think we started to work on this before we started the Blind Box series.
Because this was Liam made this for the original for the custom show. Yeah.
So first of all, thank you for doing this.
It's a pleasure.
This is not the original custom.
No, this is the first one that came out. So this one we sold through Kickstarter to start with.
That's right.
With the Blind Box series.
That's right.
And CZ sculpted the add-ons.
That's right.
So
when you first sent me, brilliant. CZ, when you first sent me that thing, it was brilliant. It just said, "This is where I've got to." I was like, "Well, you've nailed it already, so let's go."
Yeah. So this is another true collaboration, which I love about the Cambot platform, is that a lot of the time CZ sculpts them for the artist. So it really becomes a true collaboration.
I just saw the Nug Life ones.
Yes.
They're just.
Maybe Alex, can you grab one and fill in the back to show? Can you show it, Alex?
Oh yeah.
So this was the first colorway, and then you dropped this one.
Yeah.
That was an exclusive.
This was an exclusive with the green camo, which is super rad. And camo is really difficult. In case anyone wants to know how difficult it is to produce camo in China, I'm sure Liam could spend a whole hour talking about the difficulties.
There's the Nugbot. Can you bring Alex up?
Go.
Yeah,
nice.
That's awesome. Love it.
Injection molding.
Yeah. It's a really fun one.
Yeah,
really good. It's really good.
Love it. Does it still rattle, Alex?
That's the prototype.
Oh my God, it rattles.
So tomorrow we are dropping the latest one, which is the Death Snow red and white camo version, which we're super excited with little grey sandals. So this is dropping tomorrow on our website, clutter.co at 11 a.m. If you backed our Kickstarter, I actually sent out a notice today that we have a special link for Kickstarter backers where they get a discount and they can grab it early, just to say thank you. So if you are a Kickstarter backer, go check that out on Kickstarter because it's all there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice to see this one. It's funny, isn't it? It's been a little while, and it's really nice to see this one in the
flesh.
Things are cranking up again in China. It's nice.
Yeah, I was so pleased. I mean, the first one was for the first custom Cambot show, wasn't it? So thanks for we're doing such a stellar job in the first place, so I could remake it sort of thing. It
was really nice to redo it. I think you know what it's like. So you do a custom and you kind of have a vision, and it was really nice to do these because it was just I like that original, but this one we just got to refine it slightly. Like I said on that, and your first, I don't think there was much change from this first sculpt you sent me. You were like, "This is what I've done." I was like, "That's it, man."
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah,
awesome, mate.
So good.
I think you were in our house, right?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we were locked down or anything. I just
No.
Yeah, we
I
just
just, guys, I've got to say as well, as a consolation, this is good, but I am completely gutted that last weekend I'm not with you doing.
Oh, I
my
know.
show.
I know. You have to
can't
do it next year. Do you know how many years you've moved this show, Liam?
Oh,
But this was the closest we got. I booked my flight.
True.
Everything was arranged. I booked time off. It was all sorted, and it got close. And I just thought, I'm not going to do it, and I'm not going to do it justice. When we do it,
Yes.
I'm going to make sure that it's what I want it to be, and I just don't think I couldn't have achieved that this time, and that's why I didn't. So I'm sorry again.
That's okay. Next year, we're going to hold you to it. Like, we're going to put your feet in the fire. And then you can also get a Mashko tattoo while you're here.
Oh, yeah, all right.
All right. So that'll be the, like, reward.
We'll feed you candy through the whole thing.
Yeah, please do.
You got to get ready for, like, the 10
While I'm
hours.
crying, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us, Liam. Yeah. Your work
Stay
is
with,
amazing.
Stay with us.
Please stay with us. Yeah, we're gonna.
I'll stay with you. But thanks.
Yes.
It's been,
Yes. Thank you very much.
It's nice hanging out, man. Honestly, it's good to see you.
Yeah, it really is. It's really good to see you. But we're in the UK and never get to see you. So it's really nice.
Because you're like London and Weymouth, you may as well be like New York to California, or like you may as well be like Australia to New York, because you're in New England. And no one's going to travel that far.
I'm not traveling 3 hours.
No.
Dude, we'll go 3 hours for dinner.
All right, so we're going to bring on the master of dissection.
The hardest sanding motherfucker on the planet.
the most amazing sculptor and super talented toy artist. The winner of the most designer toy awards.
That's right.
You know, giving him as much hype as we possibly can because he's amazing. You might have seen his shows in Asia, which have just been crazy with giant billboard takeovers.
Showing everyone how it's done.
Yeah, it's Jason Freeny. Let's bring him on.
Yeah. Oh, there I am.
In the dark.
Whoa.
Hello, Jason. I'm Kendra. Hi.
I'm Jason, and this is Ken.
Just to be
We weren't sure.
welcome.
You guys are like fading into the blackness.
It's bedtime stories with Jason.
Yes, tell us the story.
We did not understand the assignment, judging by the backgrounds that everybody.
we did for most of us with the black shirt.
Yeah, 2PetalRose, you didn't get the memo.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
All I keep thinking of is Bohemian Rhapsody right now. So
we could do that too. We could totally do that.
Did you ever see Mummenschanz?
Yes, I know Mum and Sean.
That's you guys like the floating heads and the toilet paper.
Toilet paper eyes and the face.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm that old.
Me too.
So most people are going to know you for your dissected work, Jason, but that is not where you started with art and creation. So tell us a little bit about your story and how you started in the art world and how you found toys too.
Wow. So that would go way back to high school in the 80s. And I was, I've always been into art. I've always been, I always seem to just judging by the people around me, excelling at art. My father was a painting and sculpture professor. So I was surrounded by that. When I saw him, my mother was a seamstress, and at a young age, she would make go-go costumes for go-go dancers in DC.
Nice.
So there's always a lot of creativity. My mother would always take us to shows. My father, I remember seeing the Alvin Haley Dancers when I was like 7. My father would take us to galleries and things like that. So I was always kind of exposed to it.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up I was born in DC, in Washington, DC. And then I kept moving further and further out into Maryland until I got up to Frederick, and then which is very north. It's up by Camp David. And then once I went to college, I moved to New York.
Just so you know, you're saying it wrong. It's Maryland.
I don't know if the Brits. I don't think the Brits also know the significance of Camp David. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's kind of the presidential getaway.
Yes, we do.
It's like probably a 15-20 minute flight from DC.
So they're going to bury the Queen.
to the mountains in Maryland, and I think it's in Smithsburg. But anyway, so I kind of wanted to be an architect or a painter. I mean, I think my mother was always pushing me, be an architect, be an architect. I'm like, yeah, I want to be an architect. Yeah. And then a friend of mine in high school won a scholarship at Pratt in Brooklyn for architecture. So I went with him. His family was kind enough to bring me along. My family did not have the means or the ways. I grew up in a very poor family, and they took me with them to Brooklyn, and I saw what architecture was, and I no longer wanted to be an architect. I walking around the campus, I went into the industrial design department, and I walked in to their, if anybody that goes to Pratt, it's been so long, I'm sure it's completely different, but you walk in and they have all these glass displays of showing off all the prototypes and the models that the students built. And I was just blown away. I'm like, I need to learn how to make these. I want to learn how, because it's a block of wood that looks like a toaster or, like some high-tech record player. And I'm just like, it wasn't the design aspect I was into. I was into the model building. So I immediately, I'm taking industrial design. So I took industrial design, and that's where I learned all my model building techniques and all my learning how to sand.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yes, there's sanding class.
There you go. The sanding class in industrial design. No,
might as well. So I went through school. Did the whole, industrial design schooling, and I sucked at art history. I never graduated, and it was because I could not, for the life of me, pass art history, and it was because the way they taught it. You sit in a big stadium-like room, and and then here's this slide, and it's
the Parthenon.
Whatever. I mean, as soon as they got to modern art, I really started to enjoy it, but I just cannot, for the life of me, take what they've shown me, and because they want you to regurgitate it back to them in a very specific way. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, you didn't get it. You didn't use the right words or whatever. So I think I took the first art history class 3 times before I passed it. And then I kept having to take it. I'm like, you know what? When you go to art school and then you get out of art school, they don't care where you went to school. They might be like, oh, that's nice or that's impressive. All they care about is, can you make me look good? So it's all about your portfolio. It's all about, showing your skills. So as soon as I got out, actually my first job was at the Strand bookstore, up on right below Madison Park.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
Broadway and
yes, Union Square. And I in the basement, and I was miserable down there. I didn't find a design job out of school, and I ran into a friend of mine that I went to class with on the train, and he's like, dude, I got this job where we design these interiors of Planet Hollywood restaurants, and they fly us everywhere, and we go and we paint murals and put these things in. And I'm like, hook me up.
Yeah.
So he got me an interview. I got in, and then within a month or 2, I was flying around doing murals, and they kind of took advantage of my model building skills. And so I was building lots of models for retail stores and things like that.
That's amazing. Which one was your favorite one that you did for a retail store? Do you remember?
As far as Planet Hollywoods go?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me think. The first one, say that.
Just in general.
Well, we didn't really fly around much outside of the Planet Hollywood stuff. So I think probably the first one, because it was the first time I'd ever flown in a plane. Phoenix. But we went I always wanted to go to Asia, and for some reason I never got sent to anywhere in Asia, although we did have some crews that would go. So at some point, the great Planet Hollywood crash of 1997.
That was a real thing, right?
Yes.
Like it all went downhill.
It all went down, and the work dried up, and I did some things here and there, but ultimately that job kind of fizzled out. And I had made one of the clients that I had was MTV, and I had made some friends up there, and they took me in, and I started doing work in the special events department at MTV, doing a lot of props, a lot of trophies, a lot of special event party spaces, things like that. And that went on probably till about 2002, right up to about 9/11, when 9/11 happened.
So we must have been in that building at the same time.
Yeah.
What floor were you on? This is at 1515, right?
1515. I mean, I was on the animation floor periodically.
You were probably up. I was on the 30th floor. So
Yeah,
you're probably up a little higher. I think that's
I
like
don't remember like what floor, but
Nickelodeon. So for people
I
that
think we toured Nickelodeon at one point.
Viacom is the big conglomerate that owns MTV, Nickelodeon, VH1.
Yeah.
Probably 15 channels, and this one building in Times Square houses almost all of them. I know they have a second building that's like animation a little bit north up in Times Square.
Yeah.
So
they also had TRL when you'd walk in.
Yes, on the studios above.
Right, like
I remember going to Times Square and watching them do TRL through the windows.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
TRL.
I'm watching TRL on the TV too. But
IRL.
Yeah.
We would be on the 30th floor, and you could hear like screaming. It's no lie. It's just this like pitched whistle that would start around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it would be the crowds of girls screaming on the street, depending on who happened to be there or whatever.
Right.
So did MTV and that kind of fizzled out, or I had my son, not me, but my son's mother. And MTV was very much a permalance company. That's pretty much what they called it, where you didn't really work there. You were in a constant circulation of freelance. So you would show up every day.
Yeah.
You got paid really well, but you could be fired at the drop of a hat.
Right.
Had no unemployment insurance. It was just a very risky thing, but it was hands down, as far as working for, corporate, whatever, hands down my favorite job I've had. Just the variety. I mean, I never knew what was going to come in the door. Jason.
It wasn't all the screaming girls.
No.
Didn't they tell you had to get sued? You had to sue them to get paid?
They did. I mean, when we signed our contract with them for our animated show, they basically said, like, I think in the end we owned 5% of our show. And they're like, and you'll have to sue us to get it, but it's a good contract. And we're like, okay.
I don't think I owned anything. So at least you have the 5%.
Yeah.
I seem to have blanked out here. I don't know if can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, we're good.
We're right here.
We're good.
Jason.
We're here. It's good. It's good.
So from there, I went and I got a job where I would have health insurance and things like that. I got a job at a very small toy invention studio in New Jersey called the OB. And it was me. I don't, Steve Casino.
Yeah.
He was there. A couple other people that are still doing toys. And it's a little cottage, and we would sit in there and we would just brainstorm toy concepts, toy ideas. The owners of the place, the Kislevitz, were their family was I think their father came up with color forms, and that was their platform of now that they have.
Oh, really? They must have worked with who else? Wasn't it Mel? What's his name? What's his last name? Mel.
We're not doing a very good job remembering. But it's
Burn.
No, it's not.
The guy who created the Outer Spaceman. Burn. Oh shit. I'm gonna look it up. Anyway, color forms. Yeah, go on.
Well, I was there. We would come up with toy concepts, toy ideas, and then they would go and sell them to the big normal toy companies like Hasbro, whatever.
Did you ever hear about the vampires that would suck liquid out of the other vampires?
That's what I was going to ask, is how many of those ideas actually made it to fruition? Because we had Dr. A on the show, And he was talking about how frustrating it was to work for one of those big toy companies because you would get so far along with these great ideas and they would just get buried in the desert.
No, if vampires sucking liquid out of other vampires is really that great an idea, it's fucking awesome. But like,
well, we would have like morning, it'd be like, okay, tonight I want you to go home and brainstorm ideas for, hair play or, tween ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all these different categories.
Yes.
There's a hair play category that,
yes.
you know,
Do you remember that with them coming?
Yes. So
hair play.
While I was there, I was living in Manhattan in Gramercy, and I was probably an 8-minute walk from Toy Tokyo. And it was a place that I would go to. And
what year are we about now, Jason?
This is around 2002.
Okay.
And I had been going to Toy Tokyo for, when it was in its old location before it burned down horribly.
Yeah, the restaurant. Did you ever go into Lev's office in that location?
I did not know Lev while he was in that location. I didn't meet Lev until he moved to its current location.
It was wild. I wish I had more. I wish I had pictures of it.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Sorry, continue.
Okay. So that's when I started, I discovered keys, QEE. And
yeah, that's mine
never
and Cece's.
Never heard of them.
That's mine and Cece's story too. We're all key people.
I discovered these things, and I'm like, and they had their designer series where they had gotten a bunch of designers and scavenger hunt, and it all made sense to me. Like, oh wow, I want to do this. So I started coming up with key ideas and collecting the keys, and that's what really got my juices flowing. Once this is 2000, 2002, right about when it really gelled. And then Kid Robot came in when they had a place down on Prince Street, and so I'd visit there. But I was more in tune with the Toy Tokyo vibe because it was a lot more variety. Kid Robot was more specialized, and I didn't quite gel with it or didn't quite get it, but I did go there a lot. God, what happened after that? So once the toy thing, I didn't sell a single toy when I was at that company. So after about a year, they let me go.
Wasn't for
There you go.
Yeah. So I took a job after that. I think I went to ESPN. One of my friends that was at MTV had now gone to ESPN to start their mobile division, the ESPN Mobile, which existed for about a year because they had their own phone, and I was doing a lot of the motion graphics on it. And then if you have your ESPN app on your iPhone now, that is what is remaining of that entire department. It became an app. And no longer has its own phone.
That happens.
So I went through a couple jobs like that, and then there was around 2007-ish. That's when the economy kind of tanked, and I lost my job. And I was always making my own stuff, making my own illustrations, and that's when I was doing these illustrations where I had balloon dogs and a robot. And the robot kind of represented me, and the balloon dog was his pet. But yet the balloon dog was always floating up in the air because the balloon dog was free and whatever. There's all this symbolism. And I had been treating this balloon dog as if it were a dog. And I'm like, what would this dog's anatomy look like, if we exposed what its anatomy was? So I pulled out my computer. I was, a little versed in Maya. And I built a model of what the balloon dog would look like and just kind of posted. This is back in MySpace time. And I just threw it up on MySpace. And it kind of went crazy from there. I got an email one day from Tommy Kane. And he is a pretty well-known commercial guy. He did, at the time, he had been doing the Steve Madden ads with the giant bubble heads and people walking down the street to sell the Steve Madden shoes. And I was like, oh, wow, this guy's, really interested in this stuff. And he's like, yeah, I'd like to buy a print. And I'm like, well, I don't have any prints. He's like, you should probably make some prints. So I went down to, what was that? Dugal? And paid an extraordinary amount of money to have a print made. It was beautiful, but it was not the way to make prints, but it was all I knew. And he bought my very first print. And so I kind of grew on from that. I'm like, oh, so then I did a gummy bear. And then I did picking things that were not licensed and explore what they were inside. And I was having a blast. And that's kind of how that all started. That's
was it you or Cause that did it first?
Technically, is when it comes to the toy, Cause's toy came out, I believe, before mine. So if you're going to go on that,
because I just wanted you to put a nail in Cause's coffin, like right now. Just put an end to that.
No, I didn't know who Cause was.
Yeah,
I was not influenced by any means. I had seen other artists do that before. There's this artist named Hyun-Kyu Lee, if I'm pronouncing it right, who did an entire exhibit of just the skeletons of, the coyote and Roadrunner and all these other things. There's kaiju stuff, anatomy from back in the 60s. It's been going. I was the first one. It predates my birth.
Yes.
But we all do it in a different way. And the thing that I did first was sculpting it inside of a toy. So I started off just doing illustrations, and then I was like, well, why don't I just get a toy and sculpt in the toy? So I bought, I think it was a dunny was the first thing I did. And I cut it open and I just started sculpting, because I'm a sculptor naturally from the industrial design aspect of it. And I just sculpted what the anatomy would look like on the inside. And I threw it in my toaster oven and I baked it. And I'm like, okay, back during this time, I had no online shop or anything. So I just threw it up on eBay. And because I had no work, whatever it sold for was more than I had the day before. And I don't remember what it sold for, but it sold for a pretty good penny, for considering what it was. I think it was about $500 it ended up selling for. I was like, whoa. So I'm like, okay. So I did another one. I think the next one I did was an ice bat. And it got even double that. And so I'm like, I think I'm onto something here. And I really enjoyed it. So I just started dissecting toys and what would go in. And it's cool because if you look back at like the original sculpts I did compared to how I do it now, you can see the growth and you can see the detail and back then it would take me like 2-3 days to do one. Now it takes 6 weeks to do one. It just gets so detailed.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's my story.
That's a great toy story.
Yeah. Are you still teaching at SVA?
I am. I did 2 years, and then I kind of, teaching is hard. It's you have your class, and that's your 3 hours in your class, but I'll have to put 12 hours in before I even get to the class to plan it. So it's a lot more work than I had imagined. So I kind of COVID came and everything went indoors, and I'm like, I can't teach online. I can't teach a 3-dimensional skill through a screen. So I was like, I can't do it. And so I stopped.
Yeah.
So I think the last time we hung out, it was CZ and Miranda and myself, and we were at your class.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and you got COVID like the next day.
But I remember there was maybe 1 or 2 girls in your class who were wearing masks, and we were totally shitting on them. Like we walked like, why are they wearing masks? It's so stupid.
I mean, if you live in New York, just as you do, and you go down to Chinatown, there are people wearing masks all the time.
All the time.
Something in their culture they've been doing for many years.
And then you took us out for wet meat. CZ was very upset.
Yeah, wet meat.
We went out for udon. It was the most fantastic udon.
Oh, the ramen place. Yes.
Right, the wrong place. What was in the one with the bone broth? What was that one called?
Yes, that was that's a Sajin on I think 26th Street.
No. It's the one on Avenue A. And
the first place we tried to go to was closed.
No, but between St. Mark's and 9th on Avenue A.
I think that's a place that we just kind of found randomly.
Oh, that was fantastic. And CZ was so pissed off. It was the best.
It's a diabetic nightmare, though. Like,
That's true. That's true.
Hell on earth for me, man. It's just like salty water. Carbs.
There are some
the only good thing in it is that fucking boiled egg.
I do like the boiled egg too, I have to say.
And
No,
Kendra can attest to this. There are some places that if you ask, they will replace the ramen, and it's actually delicious with cabbage. with things.
Yeah, no.
It's getting worse.
That's CZ's dream. Wet meat and cabbage.
Wet meat and cabbage.
Oh, I'm
It's
sorry.
sold. It's sold.
But I'll tell you what, the lobsters we had when we went out, they were rad. Like, that
Yeah,
was
they went to Jordan's. That was great.
Hometown lobsters.
Yeah, that was.
But that's basically my story, and everything else has been a progression of that. And you know, I guess we can, because there's a lot more detail in, you know, the past 15 years than there were in the first 20.
Yeah. So how did the relationship with Mighty Jacks begin? Because that really in Asia blew you up like crazy.
There's a funny story. I had met. I got an email from Nichos when he first started, and he's like, "Hey, my name is Nichos, and you know, I'm apologizing because some of these guys are saying I'm ripping you off," and I'm like, I don't know anything about this. And so I checked out his work and I see it, and I'm like, and it's fantastic, and he's doing it his way, and I'm like, you know, dude, just do your thing. You know, I'm not the authority here. You know, art is art. Just do it. I don't own this. You know, I might be making it as my, you know, my signature thing, but you know, I don't own it. And so we met up and hung out and had some lunch. And then I got an email from Jackson at Mighty Jacks, and he's like, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if we did a collaboration with you and Nichos in a piece?" And I'm like, that sounds great. So I contacted Nichos, and I'm like, they want to do this. You know, I'm really into toys. And it became very clear that he was more interested in murals and doing, you know, his public pieces, to where at some point I'm just like, I went back and like, Jackson, I just don't think he's really into it because he's not really responding. Why don't we just make something alone? And that's how it started. And I think we did, I did my little skull bombs with him. And that was the first thing we did. And that was a relationship to this day continues.
See, this is really interesting to hear because I used to own an art gallery in Brooklyn called Mighty Tanaka, and I was showing Nichos when he had that conversation with you.
Yes,
and so he came up to me and he was just like, "Oh my God, I had this conversation with Jason Freeny. We're going out for lunch." And so to hear from your side is just so interesting. It's kind of like a blast from the past with this.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing of people riffing ideas and taking somebody's, I mean, yeah, I mean, some people will come up with a style, and of course that's their style, but it's something where, you know, doing an anatomy in a fictional character, just like we said before, you know, I was born in 1970. I can find things like this from Japan that date from the late 60s. So, you know, I'm doing it. There's at least 4 or 5 other artists now that are doing it, but everybody's doing it their own way, and there's nothing wrong with it. You know, and we all have an audience.
Absolutely. So you've actually started to work on more licensed properties more recently with Mighty Jacks. How does it compare? How does it feel? Is it restraining to work on a license, or is it?
No, not at all. That actually was my ultimate thing, because when I first started doing them, I'm like, you know, the Visible Man, that's the toy from the 60s, and I always wanted, wouldn't it be cool if we did this with licensed characters? What if like a Clear Bugs Bunny with his anatomy? So ultimately that was the end goal. So he made Mighty Jacks made that happen and made it possible. So I fucking loved it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you get treated like a rock star when you go to Asia. How does that feel?
I feel, I know what it feels like to be a hot girl in a bar.
Yes.
What do you think about that, Kendra? Is that really what it's like? Kendra, is that what it's like for Jason? You've seen it firsthand.
You know, truthfully, what I enjoy about it, I know that that's not what the question was, but as a mom, I like going through the crowd of the people waiting and picking everyone with a kid. And pushing them, like I usher them to the front.
She goes in, she finds children, she brings them up.
Because I know what it's like to wait in line with kids.
Yeah.
But his fans are so, what's the word? They're really sweet, and they're so grateful just to meet him. And it's kind of funny just to watch him kind of go, this is weird. It like in a sense, like it's just me, you know.
It is a
I'm
little
sure
bizarre.
It does feel a little weird for him, but they're really awesome. They're just so, you know, they know his work. I just think it's really cool when they come up and I'm like, oh, and I have this and I have that, and they have their own questions. And he's usually, unless it's been a really long time, he's just so gracious with them. But yeah. I just love them. They're so. Sometimes you go and the line will like wrap around. It even for me, I'm just like, really? Wow. Okay.
I am absolutely blown away by it. And every time I go to one of these things, or every time I have, you know, a drop or whatever, I expect total failure. And every time it's like brand new, I'm like,
yeah,
you know, I'm completely shocked. So it's a wonderful, beautiful thing.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. That's what I hear from him. He expects the worst.
Like I'll come in and there'll be a line. I'm like, oh my God, there's a line. And then I was like, he's all the way to the booth where I'm going to be signing. And I'm just like, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, it's not like that here. I think it used to be, maybe back in the days of Kid Robot, there used to be lines around the block, but I haven't seen that in such a long time.
Here in the States, I'll get 7 people in line, you know.
It's true.
I'll sign for a half hour, an hour, I'll 20, 30 on a good day.
Yeah.
You know, I go over to Asia, it's a totally different story. It's, you know, line.
What do you think that is about the collector mentality? What do you think that is, aside from the...
I can only go by my own. I have a fascination, as with a lot of people, with Asian culture, Asian toys, and I'm all, you know, because it's so different, because there's the way people think in different countries creates a different aesthetic. And I think it's the same fascination. It's similar to the same fascination that I have with Asia, or a lot of people with Asia and Japanese, you know, culture. They have the same with Western culture. So, right. I mean, you know, all the Asian designers will have a very similar feel to a lot of their work. You know, there's very delicate. There's, you know, certain themes that run through it, and my stuff is just very different. You know, right. I think that might be it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either that, or they told them that, like, you know, Ricky Martin or somebody's there.
There's gold in there. Fascination with the other, right?
Yeah,
like,
I think so.
I mean, anime and everything over here, and then me to see Rod Stewart and Cheap Trick opened, and my friend Yuko, who's an illustrator, she's amazing. She was mentioning that her older sister was like a huge Cheap Trick fan growing up. Like they were, I guess, massive there. I didn't know that. I mean, I know it's music, but
I didn't know
the culture.
I didn't know it either, but then I went in and looked up on the Wikipedia page of Cheap Trick, and they were huge in Asia. Like America was kind of,
especially Japan. Yeah.
But in Japan, they were like, so when they're like, oh my God, Cheap Trick, you know, it made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Josh is reflecting on his fascination.
No, I was literally editing myself. I was like, I'm not gonna say that, and I'm not gonna say that, and definitely not gonna say that. But I will ask. Someone told me that you have an interview coming out in High Times. Do I have that right?
Yeah, well, it came out. I haven't seen it. I mean, I've seen the actual. You know,
I mean, do they still make a physical paper? Do people still do that?
I went to Barnes and Noble in Union Square a couple days ago, and they still don't have it yet. They had the old issue, but yes, we did my high school. Jason is very proud, and all my stoner friends from college.
Yeah, totally.
You know, I did it.
Yes,
that's awesome. That's
awesome. We did a old high school crush now, by the way. I'm not threatened.
When we did that, the beer can together. You had to pretend to like beer. Do you remember that?
I don't like beer.
You're so high. They put hops in your hand, and you're like, I wish this was a different bud.
The story you're telling is you. 5 Points Fest was getting What was the beer? It's 6 point.
6 points.
6 Point Brewery to sponsor the alcohol at the 5 Points a few years back.
Yeah.
And you invited me to go on the tour of their brewery, and they gave us hops.
You could still give a shit less.
Yeah, they said taste it, and we all tasted it, and it tasted like breakfast cereal.
Yeah, but it was still good. We still had a good time.
Yes.
Yes.
We
Yes.
did. It was
And
awesome.
there's an awesome interview coming out that has come out in High Times. So that's awesome.
Yes. Check it out.
Okay, cool. Everybody get out there and buy magazines.
Yeah. I did talk about my youth in there as well, which is something I don't really talk about. When I was very young, my grandfather passed away, and my mother, I found out that I was Jewish at that time. I was about 5 or 6, and my mother pulled me and my sisters out of our public schooling and put us in a very strict Orthodox Hebrew school, the Hebrew Academy in Washington, D.C. And for the next 3 years, I pretended to be an Orthodox Jew.
That's so strange.
Did you learn to speak Yiddish? Did you speak Yiddish still?
Or she means Hebrew.
Yeah,
Hebrew.
sorry.
I could read Hebrew fluently. I had no idea what I was reading. I mean, I could read the letters. I remember showing up the very first day in a room, and like there's prayers, and everybody's like, just do it. And I'm just like looking around like,
So
okay.
weird.
I knew nothing
Yeah.
about being a Hasidic Jew.
There should be like a prep school to become a Jew
Yeah,
before you become a Jew. Like, how do you dump someone in on that?
After 3 years in there, my mother became a born-again Christian and pulled us out of there and started sending us to these Christian youth groups.
So she was really searching.
I don't know. There's that whole generation from the 60s was looking for something, because I've seen this as a running theme in a lot of parents who grew up in the 60s, that they were very, kind of all over the place.
Well, they were the first generation to kind of break from the tradition, I think, like the
possible
going to church all, you know what I mean? They were the first ones, I think, that were seeking new answers to old questions.
Yeah, it's about that time an atheist.
But
You would think they should have gone for Jews for Jesus over Born Again.
Well, she wanted to do Jews for Jesus. She wanted to do all of it, but she would use me and my sisters as kind of these little.
Like, you didn't have to go if you guys were.
CZ's what?
CZ's a Jew for Jesus. CZ's just hot for Jesus. CZ just wants to have sex with Jesus.
God.
Those are those issues.
Sorry, it's getting late.
Loopy.
I didn't edit myself that time.
I know.
And that's
What
what it
happened?
sounded like. I'm sorry. That's what happened. I'll shut the fuck up now. Yes.
So then you became an atheist.
I became, yes. And it wasn't until I was in my late teens where I would say that out loud, because when you're young and everybody's like, God and punishment and always watching, and you're like, ooh.
Scary.
Yeah.
I finally got to the point when I was in my late teens that I was just, you know what? I don't believe. And that's okay. And I had a neighbor who kept, taking me to Jason, you got to believe in, or you should go to church. And I'm like, listen, if God is anybody you say that God is, they're going to know I'm full of shit. And what's worse?
That's a really good point.
I don't believe, or be pretending I do. And he's up there going, you know.
That's a really good point.
And she never pushed it on me again. So
Yeah.
Did you think
Religion
that
is the
all
worst.
toy makers are like liberal, commie, pinko atheists?
No, probably
I
not.
think this is before the toy stuff. Actually, my neighbors didn't really know much about my toy stuff. So
Yeah.
No.
Cool. All right. I think it's time for a lightning round.
Oh, we're gonna do lightning rounds, lightning
All right.
round questions, and we
Here
have
we
to
go.
do Liam too. who
Yeah.
hopefully
Let's do
is still
Jason
awake.
first.
All right.
Here's some.
I'm gonna take some of
These are old ones.
I know. I'd rather
We
have
got
the
some
old
new
You
ones.
want the old ones?
I'm not prepared with the new ones.
Here.
All right.
All right. Lightning round.
Go on.
All right. No.
Like no,
Okay.
no.
Tortoise or hare, Jason?
tortoise.
Tortoise.
New York or LA?
I'm gonna say New York.
Very good.
I'm torn for different reasons.
Production toys or custom toys?
Production toys.
Production toys. Why?
You know, I did a lot of customs when I started, and I have so many ideas that are purely mine. At some point, I had to just kind of cut those off in order to give me time to make my own toys. Nothing wrong with customs. It's a great entry into this whole thing. Absolutely.
Do you still collect stuff?
This one's terrible.
I
Who
do.
the fuck wrote this one? Hold on, wait.
What's it say? What's it
Alex
say?
is
Alex is
7 years old.
out of his mind. Wizard sleeve or banana hammock?
What does that even
Whoa.
mean?
Also,
okay.
these really have nothing to do with each other.
Wait,
I'm not going to go into it. I don't even want you to answer that one, Jason. I just read it out loud.
what is wizard sleeve?
I don't.
We don't
Wizard
know.
sleeve.
Nobody knows.
You know what a wizard sleeve is?
The sleeve of a wizard?
No, it's like.
Yeah, we'll leave it
I'm not,
at that. We'll leave it
I'm
at
not
that.
even going to explain it.
I gotta Google this. Hang on.
Yeah, you can
This
tell
is
me
terrible.
afterwards.
This brings us down to some base level that's just beneath this show. We're trying to do a serious toy magazine, and I think Alex is derailing it.
Yeah, the appendix one is good.
Let me go back to the appendix
Where's the
one.
appendix?
All right, let me see. Let me see what Alex wrote for us.
Oh, okay.
Jason Freeny.
This is your last
The
lightning
append
round.
is the last one from the lightning round. I think the lightning round is dying to death. The appendix. Useful bodily organ or useful book apparatus?
I'm going to say I've had one moved. I'm going to say useful book apparatus.
There you
Wait,
go.
what was the one? The really
Useful-
funny one from last time? That was good. The funny one from last time was.
The great apes or
Great-
great.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Great apes or great
Great
apes. Like, no, Alex, no.
Oh my god.
This
No,
is fun.
pure genius comes from this head. It just needs to, be maybe more appropriate next time.
Yeah, yeah.
We need to edit his questions. All right. So should we do toy tank?
I think we should. I think we should do toy tank.
Okay. We're gonna do toy tank next. So Jason, please,
So,
you can stick around.
Yes.
Sure.
He hasn't said anything in 20 minutes or so, so we're gonna have to drag Liam back into this.
And then we should talk about anything that you guys have coming up
Yeah,
too. Any new
absolutely.
stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't look me in my eye like that. Blum, 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 blum.
So for Toy Tank this week, we got
So-
we got
Sorry,
an
go
artist.
ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
All right, we got this artist. Her name is Snack Rabbit. She is awesome. I discovered her through Clutter actually, and her resin work is fantastic. And so this is great. I wanted to give her an opportunity to show some of her work to you guys, as I think that this is some really cool stuff. So her name is Morgan. She goes by Snack Rabbit, and without further ado, here she is.
Cool.
Awesome.
Hello.
Hi, Snack
Hi.
Rabbit.
How you guys doing?
Hello.
Good.
How are you? Welcome.
Doing good, thank you. I have some toys to show you guys.
Cool.
Awesome.
I mostly do double casting, so it shouldn't be a huge surprise. I have a bunch of double casts here.
Cool.
I've been working on a bunch of sauce packets recently, so I make a little character and then put it in a packet. This is the color-proof version of the boba packet I made for the Rainbow Sparkles show. I've also been putting cartoon skeletons in cubes. I think I do the most.
Nice.
It's like no skeletons.
No. Stop. Those are awesome. And I know 2PetalRose, Liam is your name, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was talking about before when he first started is what sells. And he said skulls, and skulls sell. The one thing I've noticed that sell are things inside clear things.
Yes.
And those are fantastic.
Yeah, I've noticed people really seem to like anything in a clear enclosure. It works.
Yes.
Those the sauce packets are incredible. They're brilliant.
Yeah.
Put one up.
Like,
Can you show it to us again?
Put the corner off and pour it. Looks great.
Yeah. So
Yeah, amazing.
favorite parts of 5 Points was when kids would come up to my table, grab the packets, and then try to pour it.
Hold it
Yeah,
up so you
no,
can see
it's brilliant.
a prolonged period of time,
There you go.
kind of frozen.
Sorry, does that work?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Where did you come up with the concept for the sauce packets?
Yeah, it's really cute.
I just had a whole lot of sauce packets piling up on my desk because I lived across the Chinese takeout place.
So wait, that's actual food?
No.
No. Okay, good.
Miranda, was that a freebie?
Look at the
Was
bowl.
that swag?
What?
Did you get that? Did she send that to you?
These are for the next show. These are for the Rainbow Sparkle show. So I just grabbed one to show you guys.
Those are great.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, they're great. So you've got there's a base on there, so they stand up as well, right?
Yeah, it
Perfect.
flips round, doesn't it? It's good.
Yeah.
Little bulbas inside.
That's
Very
really
cool.
clever. Yeah,
They're
love it.
really cute.
That one was plastic in plastic and more plastic. That's how I'm going to keep escalating.
So yeah, so the whole thing is a cast, right? So because that's a really nice effect. It looks like a clear bag, right?
Yes.
I'm
How
glad.
long have you been doing this for?
Oh man, several years, but I think I only really buckled down and started working on resin properly when I was kind of locked in during the pandemic. I think that's probably true of a lot of smaller artists. We were just stuck home with our art supplies, and things took off from there.
Did you sculpt these? I see that these were originally 3D printed. So did you make the sculpt?
Yes, I did my sculpting in ZBrush,
Awesome.
some of it in Sculptress.
Nice. Did you go to school for that? Did you teach yourself? Like, how did that?
Yeah, I just taught myself. I found Sculptress, which was the free version of ZBrush, and just kind of like messed around with it, and it was really fun. And then just kept doing it.
That's amazing. And do you use epoxy resins or urethanes?
Urethane. I am a smooth cast loyalist, as you can probably see.
Oh.
There you go.
So going back to our question earlier on, what's your offcast like? Do you have a graveyard of things with bubbles?
Oh, yeah, I do. I wish I had the bucket here, but I just sort of keep it all and just pack it up.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One day, I'm just going to fill the empty space with clear plastic and, I don't know, just turn it into a monument of fun failure.
Yes.
It could be like a Ziploc bag of packets.
Great idea.
That's what I'm here. I'm just here to help.
Just giving them out.
Just
Just get them out there.
Yeah. What you thought about double casting a corgi?
If there was bubbles inside the packet, it was kind of work, like
Yes.
to get them in, that'd be right.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it annoying when someone comes up with an idea that like hides the imperfections in resin?
I know. It's true. Well, I actually didn't notice before that the faces are on the sauce inside the packet. I kind of always thought they were on the outside, but I guess I've never really stared at one like I am now.
Yeah, I thought it would help keep the face safe if I put it on the inside.
Absolutely does. It's great. That's a really nice technique. So how long have you been, you said you just started to cast in the pandemic, so the last couple of years?
Well, I've been trying before that, but it was just so easy for things to go wrong and then just focus on other things in life. But I started having success with my casts during the pandemic.
Right. What did you do before that? Like, what's your background?
Before that, I would just 3D model things and paint it in a 3D modeling program, and then order prints in a full color sandstone, which was a material that Shapeways 3D prints.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. I remember that.
So it's kind of like the entry to toy making.
Yeah.
That's
I think we
awesome.
bought some Kozak pieces like that years ago.
Yeah. I wonder where they are. I wonder if they're still around. Like, if
It'd
they
be
still
interesting to
hold
see if they
intact.
like erode over time or what.
Yeah.
They're quite brittle and delicate. So I knew that I couldn't scale up with that material. And that's when I started getting interested in resin.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you use a urethane, because we have a lot of discussion about the longevity of resin and how archival or not archival it is. But urethane is definitely more archival than the epoxies.
So it feels a bit sket-like, but you could see this scaling up to bottles, right? Sauce bottles from sauce packets.
Yeah.
I can see that at that next size point.
Snack Rabbit's going to take Sket down.
With a cute sauce.
I don't think
I can see a collaboration there, right?
Absolutely.
Sket's label with a face behind it.
Yeah, actually, some of Sket's custom can bots, he would do like splatter red resin on the SketchUp,
To make
and then it
into
would come
sauce.
with a ketchup packet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
That's really cool.
But it was cool. But these are great because they're actually cast and permanent.
I think what's really great about these designs too is that they're universal. So, everybody can relate to a source packet, and that makes it really a great entry for people who don't know you to get a hold of your design and just relate to it.
Yeah, and perfect for custom shows.
Yes.
You can always kind of lean the design to whatever the show theme. It's good. Really good.
Another perk of having the packet itself not have a face on it, because I can make new inserts as I come up with new ideas and use the same packet mold.
Very smart.
And I can see that people will go towards you on a booth in a 5 Points or DesignerCon or something like that. They'll drift towards you because it's cute and interesting to look at, and I bet people pick them up all the time, right?
Yeah, and I made one for a friend recently who asked me to make her one, and then she finally got her hands on it and was like, I thought it was going to be squishy. I'm sorry to disappoint.
Oh,
the cute puppy.
Yeah, we got Carolina Cool Cat from our last toy tank. He says, mad respect for people who do double cast. I absolutely agree with that. Very cool. And we also got Kyle Kerwan here is telling you to put them in a drawer for the authentic sauce packet experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's talking about offcast.
In a bag.
Oh,
Yeah, I think he's saying that you should put your offcast in a
he's
drawer.
not just saying put all your extra sauce in the sauce drawer.
I think he's talking about offcast. Yeah. So you have a hot team of people here. You have Jason Freeny, you have Liam 2PetalRose, you have CZ13. Do you have any questions for the panel on, to ask them their advice?
Yeah, I guess what do you guys see being the next move for small artists who are trying to grow?
Question. Who wants to take it first? Jason Freeny, let's go to you.
And I'll be honest here, I do my best to not pay much attention to what is going on outside of going to shows and stuff. Someone's going to come along at some point and dazzle. It happens. I don't know the answer. I only know what I'm trying.
There you go.
Yeah. No, that is a kind of, I think that's a pretty good tip. Like, just steer clear of focusing on what other people are doing too much and focus on yourself. Because I think the people that have been around in this world for the longest often say that, like, they don't really pay attention to what everybody else is doing.
I mean, I love seeing other people's stuff. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
I'm not but the more I expose myself to the things that are going on, the more I start doing things like that.
Right.
And I like to cut it off. I think your idea, those things are fantastic. You've picked something that something inside of clear, which is great. And you've also picked something that has so many possibilities. I mean, there's so many packets of things out there.
Absolutely.
Great. Yeah.
Liam, let's go to you next.
Yes.
Liam, what's your advice?
Yeah, I completely agree. I get asked the question. So at conventions, a lot of people ask, so how do you grow your Instagram followers? Or the questions are the wrong route to what we do. I have got no idea how you grow an Instagram page. And I think the key is to just, like you said, just concentrate on your thing. And it's so easy to get swayed. As I was talking earlier on about, what sells or what it's so easy to get swayed in that. You see someone blowing up because they're doing a certain style, and it's so easy to go, oh, maybe I can get a bit on that wagon. But really the key is, it's like music, and there's always a comparison. Music, what happens is a certain genre will blow up, and then you see 10 bands with all the same suit and they all get signed and they all do the same thing. However, the ones with the longevity, the careers, are the ones that just have their thing and they just keep doing it and they keep doing it and they try and shut everything, around them. It's hard to do because you're swayed. Everyone's influenced by things. But if you can just have like this, like Jason was saying, you found a kind of platform for yourself, and just keep doing it and keep exploring it and try not to, get too influenced by other people's work.
Right, that's really important advice because people get worried about being pigeonholed as something, and I think it's actually the opposite of that. That you find something that you're good at and that you enjoy doing, and it resonates, and then you just hone that skill until it's like, you know, that's what you do, and that's what people see, and then it grows this whole thing around it, rather than just constantly searching for like, well, what's new, what's next? Because also the toy world, like the music world, follows like the fashion world. It goes in cycles. Like street art is cool now, and graffiti toys are selling, and then it'll be illustration toys, and then it'll be like samurai toys, and it just goes in fashions and waves. So you just kind of have to write out what you do.
It absolute full circle, and I think sometimes even if you have your moment where things blow up, you know, if you've got your thing, it will stabilize, and you know, and you can just ride it and enjoy it.
Absolutely. CZ13, I think that you've probably got some interesting advice because you've come from different worlds. Like you've been in the street art world, you've been in the toy world, you were in the stickers, you know, skateboarding, you've been in so many different kind of collectible art areas. That you
I just think, looking at you, you've got a really beautiful IP that you've made up yourself. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's strong, and you obviously enjoy doing it, and you've used the last 2 years to sort of hone a little bit of a craft going on. And like everyone's saying, just keep doing what you're doing. But one suggestion I think would be rad is like scale it. You know what I mean? Like fucking think about making some stupid, like, you know, get brave with it and make some really big ones. So you're taking, it's a bit pop arty, do you know what I mean? So you've got a small little sauce packet. What if that was, I don't know, like this big? On, you know, on your, if you've got one of them on your booth, that's just mental looking. Do you know what I mean? And as you go on, I guess you'll learn how to make things bigger and have more confidence doing bigger stuff like that. So keep doing what you're doing, but like I don't know, if you wanted to change it up a bit, just go stupid big with it and see what happens. That would be funny.
Awesome.
Yeah. Plus, if you went larger, you could put more detailed objects inside.
That's true.
Yeah, I just think it'd look crazy. This really big sauce packet that looks exactly like a clear sauce packet, but it shouldn't be that big, but it is. I like that sort of thing, you know.
Absolutely.
No one needs that much sauce. And that's why you did it.
Thank you for joining us, Snack Rabbit. Your work is awesome. You got some really great feedback. Yeah, we can't wait to see what you come up with next. And thank you for taking part in Rainbow Sparkles.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thanks. So before we all leave, I want to know what you guys have coming out next. So Liam, what are you working on apart from the one in the background? Do you have anything else that you want to talk about? No. What's next?
Oh, he's got this coming out tomorrow.
Yes. I've got this one next.
Are you working on more production toys in the background?
Yeah. There is more in the works. I you know, haven't really kind of, I don't know, delved in it too much, but I think I've been doing a few customs and short runs as we did with the little gold skulls for the network release, like of the smaller kind of blister carded kind of figures. I'm going to explore that a little bit more, and that's not something I've gone into the production world for,
right? But
I think I really kind of want to explore that for a I guess for a price point perspective. It would be really nice to offer you know, a different price point and maybe do that on a production level. But really, I really want to do some customs. I've been doing production stuff, and actually it was really interesting. The question you asked everyone, whether production or custom, I couldn't answer it. I genuinely love both. I personally love doing one-offs. I really do, like a one-off piece and pouring everything into it. That's part of the reason I still do it. However, designing something and seeing something on a production level in your hand, in a box, in a finished piece I don't know, they both equally speak to me.
And how about collecting from a collector standpoint? Because I know that you're a big collector too. So as a collector, would you rather have a production toy or a custom toy?
Production toy.
Production toy. Why is that?
I think it's nostalgia for me. It's a lot of this is steeped in my collection in the 80s. Again, the best era of toys. 100%. And but there is something about a packaged piece that and being brave enough to open it. And I don't know. From a collecting perspective, I've got a few one-offs. I've probably got the main customers I've got is the Run DMB pieces, his work and I really love his one-offs. But yeah, collecting mainly I production. But
I mean, I would say of all these cases, they're all production. There's very few customs.
But I think so up and coming. I'm really going to try and do a short run of these, and I really want to do a bit more paintwork and stuff. I think that's what's coming up next is a bit more of that, and then there is a few more productions. But then hopefully with some minifigures, but nothing apart from this. Only but tomorrow.
Boop, boop. And what do you collect? Just real quick,
So I said to you earlier on, I got a bit obsessed with these 3A large Martin 112 things, and I've got those. But so just quickly, my background in toy collecting was really heavily steeped in Gundams when I was young, and I took a couple of trips to Hong Kong, and both times, and I don't know why I did this. I still think back to it and think you should have just taken another suitcase. Now, what I did is I threw away everything that I had in my suitcase and packed it full of Gundam, and then took it home. And then on reflection, I thought to myself, I could have probably paid the extra for an extra suitcase, and it would have been less than replacing all of the clothes that I threw away.
That is such a stupid decision.
Now we know that you're fucking crazy, and that's
I would have done
awesome.
That too. I'd have been like,
that's awesome. This is the first time tonight where I was like, "This guy's crazy." You're amazing.
There was this amazing toy shop, and it was like I don't know how many floors, 7 floors. It was incredible, and I found this. It's over here. It's like a 3-foot Gundam. An RX-78 Gundam, and I was just blown away by it. And the package, it was a bit too much, and I was measuring it, and I was like, it's not going to fit in a suitcase. So I said to him, "Can you keep all the packaging? I'll unwrap it." And I somehow fit it in my suitcase and did all this. And when I got home, I was just like, I should have just.
Can you have carried it on? But can you have carried it on as hand luggage? I remember, there's been
logic escaped to me. All I thought was, I need to get that home in my suitcase. So
I used to come to Toy Fair and come and just get so much stuff to go back to England, and so I would carry 3-foot keys on as hand luggage. I'd have 2 of them, one under each arm, signed by all the artists, and just stick them in as hand luggage, and I'd be like, okay. And actually, when we came back from England once with a giant deer skull with giant antlers.
And they let us bring it on the plane
as hand luggage.
Not even hand. It was literally in a bag.
Yeah.
It was a fucking weapon.
Yeah. I was like, well, I can't fit in the suitcase, so we'll try and I might take it off us, but whatever. And they just it's on the wall. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
But that's about it. The only other thing that I collect is the Master 9 Eyes. You know those.
Yeah.
Daytona ones. I've got quite a few of them as well. But yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome. So, Jason Freeny, let's ask you the same questions.
What
do you have coming up?
I've wanted a 3D printer for a long time, and I was introduced to it back probably about 1988. And these machines were about $1 million. I remember taking a field trip with
a hand crank,
No, they had its own room. It was on a base with springs so that it wouldn't vibrate, and it worked with lasers, and so that was amazing. And then of course, they started
coming out.
Huh?
Keep going.
So I got a 3D printer.
Yay, that's awesome.
And I am exploring the things that I can do with it because it's fascinating. I have a few things down here. I'll start with this, which was, this is a Hello Kitty anatomy that I made. This is actually a gift I made for Kendra for our anniversary.
Wow. That's very delicate.
That looks really fragile.
You can see in here is just, you can see the size. Yeah. Pay no attention to my grody fingernails.
It's going to break right now.
Don't break it.
You're going to break the fingers off right now.
How?
I won't. So that was just one of the test things that I did. But now I'm working. I did a sculpture of I like juxtaposing, we did toys and anatomy, and I also like, medicine and religion, because they're two opposite sides of the coin. I don't like doing religious things because it pisses people off or whatever. But I came up with this. This was a sculpt a while ago. This is my Band-Aid. That is the patron saint of boo-boos, and he's going to protect you from all that scratches and cuts you. So this was an amulet, and I
watched the your process on that one from the sculpt and watching the sand on it, and it was this absolutely incredible to watch.
Oh, thank you. I love sculpting, and somebody asked like, "Oh, don't you miss sculpting?" I'm like, I still sculpt. These are different mediums.
When I said those videos that you post, and there was one, the Barbie one especially as well, was absolutely incredible. But
thank you.
Those process ones, when you realize, if I watch them when I'm sanding, and I realize that I've got about another 20 hours in it, but they are absolutely fascinating, and absolutely blown away. Incredible.
I'm glad you got something from it. When I work, people are like, "Oh, post videos." Whenever I do a video while I'm working, it is the biggest distraction ever. I interrupt the workflow. It is, Jim McKenzie. He does, he does those things beautifully.
Yes.
I am the complete opposite. I am, I'll do the camera and it just slows everything down. So a lot of times I'm just like, I'm not doing any videos. I'm just doing photos so I can just work.
But that Barbie video, didn't that blow up? Like, it got so many views. It was crazy.
It was an interesting concept. I like to think my strengths are my ideas and the ability to execute them. So the Barbie idea was, they started coming out with these Barbies that were full figured or curvy, as they call them. And I wanted, because they're, articulated, they have these big gaps and everything, so you can bend the legs and everything. And the proportions of the original Barbie, everybody's like, "Oh, she's so skinny," and it's grotesque. And so I wanted to see what Barbie, a lot of times I'll make something because I don't know what it looks like. I mean, I can come up with, think of it in my mind, but I don't know what it looks like. So I'll make it so I can see what it looks like. But the idea was to fill in all those gaps, like a woman, and to see what they actually look like. And it kind of blew up pretty well there.
Yeah.
The 3D printing part, what's nice about that is I can self-produce multiples. Like when I do a sculpt, I make one and they take a long time and I really enjoy them. And there's a very small group of people that can afford them. I couldn't afford my own work. The beautiful thing about the 3D printing is I can create things where I can make, 20, and that's the beautiful thing that I'm enjoying now. And I'm, I'll do these for a little while. I have a couple ideas. This is the next one, which is an ibuprofen, which is
oh my God.
The other parts aren't done. It's the patron saint of menstrual cramps and lower back pain. A couple more.
That's my toy.
Especially menstrual cramps.
And
I'm into the mini gel caps, the blue clear Advils.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's my jam.
This I had sciatica for a while, and ibuprofen was a savior.
Yeah, but Josh's birthday at some point over the next year.
There you go.
Right. We want to now. And the last thing I'll talk about is the amazing selection and collection of old candies I have here on my table. Here we have fruit stripe gum, if anybody remembers this.
Oh yeah.
Anyone?
Oh yeah.
It wasn't
it was horrible. You would chew it for about a minute and then it would have negative flavor.
We had gums like that too, but
take it out of your mouth and you taste things again.
Yeah.
This was my favorite and I eat them still to today. Anybody do Zots?
Never heard of them. Oh my God, this is like an education.
Where are you getting these from?
This is an Italian candy that I had when I was very little, but these have like citric acid in the middle. So as you suck on it, it explodes with like foam and tartness. They're wonderful.
Gum that lasts 10 seconds. So Carolina has this.
And then these are here's an old bit of honey. Remember these?
Oh yeah.
Are these still edible?
It has nothing to do with it.
candy for it.
Well, really interesting. No,
keep going.
Keep going. I think you can't eat these.
Wow.
So
So this is something that Kendra introduced me to. I had no. She's like, "Oh, do you remember Abba Zaba?
No.
What the hell is Abba Zaba?" And so we got some, and I'll
where do you find this?
Those come from Clearwater, right?
Where do you find these old candies?
No, it's like a vanilla taffy with like creamy peanut butter on the inside.
Yeah, it's like a
It's from
taffy.
my childhood. I don't remember.
It's
where.
a pillow of taffy with peanut butter on the inside. It is bizarre, but
like
it works.
Sweet peanut butter fluff.
Peanut butter taffy?
Yeah, what is taffy? What's taffy?
The inside.
Taffy's like stretchy, like
Chewy taffy.
Like a wham bar.
Center.
yeah, kind of like a wham bar. Yeah, that's a good example actually. It's a little bit harder than a wham bar. Wham bars are way softer and stretchier.
Like a new bar.
Wham bar.
Like a
You
new
got a
bar.
wham bar?
A wham bar is it
Yeah.
called
A wham bar.
I can't
That's
have
a very British thing.
Never seen that.
No
We'll,
idea.
we'll have a British candy session one day. We'll just bring that on.
Yeah, so that's like chewy. And there's like sherbet in the middle, and it's nice.
Curly
Our
whirly.
candies are better, for the record.
Whirly.
You just go on Amazon and all these candies, I'm sure, because that's where I got it. But Zots live by these things.
All right, we'll have a candy off because British candy's way better,
It is. Yeah,
for the
it is.
record. Like,
Oh, you better invite me for that one.
absolutely, we
absolutely.
can do that. We'll have just the candy off,
Yeah.
and we can compare, like, Cadbury's eggs.
Well, we have to make sure we have to plan this ahead and make sure everybody has samples of all the same.
Okay,
candy.
we can do that.
Oh, that's
All
funny.
right.
That would be
We'll
interesting.
come back.
That'd
and
be
we'll
interesting.
We'll do that.
Christmas
Absolutely.
special.
Yeah.
Christmas special. Yeah.
Nice.
There you go. And we can bring those Walker's crisps that we get in the UK with all the flavors because they do a Christmas dinner flavor of those, right?
They
Gravy.
do.
Yeah, that's not a thing here, so we should do that too.
I always love crisp flavors. They're just you eat them and go, like it's supposed to taste like a roast
Didn't
dinner.
they do one once that was like squirrel? Didn't they do a squirrel flavor? Yeah, like I don't know. Somebody would have
No
contested.
idea.
They did squirrel.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
British. Yeah. Okay. Well, what time is it?
I don't
it's
know.
time.
You know what we didn't do is
No.
do we show the Jag? We
Yes,
did. Okay,
did
we
all
talked.
of
So
everything. We did
we did
everything.
wow, we did
Yeah.
we did a whole magazine show
We
tonight
did.
with multiple.
And we could keep
Yes.
talking for hours about what people collect in the toy industry. So we can do it another time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
really quick, somebody asked a question here that I didn't get to answer. Is what does Jason collect?
Yes. Yes.
Candies.
I don't collect a lot. There's nothing that I'm like I have to have everything of. I think when I first started collecting, I was collecting keys, and then I pretty much found all the ones that I wanted. And then I kind of, when Kid Robot came out with the Dunny, I remember going down and waiting in line for the initial release of the Dunny. And I tried to collect the entire first series, and I think I spent $100 on the gold Dunny to complete my collection. I got home and I'm like, what the fuck did I just do?
I think we've all done that.
and at that point, I'm like, if I do this, it's not going to be good with my bills and everything like that. So at that point, when I find a toy that I like, I collect it. Most of my toys that I collect are from meeting other toy artists, and we trade, which is one of the amazing, beautiful things to do when you go to these trade, the conventions. Oh, I have this beautiful toy, and I'll give you one of mine. You give me one of yours. We'll sign it. And so we have a nice collection of toys from friends that we've met who are also toy designers from all over the world.
So there's a sauce packet in your future.
There better be a sauce packet.
There you go, Snack Rabbit.
I don't think
Send
Snack
one
Rabbit's
to
still here.
Jason Freeny. I know, but she's probably still watching.
Okay.
So Jason Freeny requests one of these.
Yes.
We'll tell you.
When I like to cook, and I do a lot of Asian food, and when we do some Thai food, and when you make Thai food, there's usually a lot of fish sauce in it, and I usually end up having to buy this jar of fish sauce for like a half a teaspoon, and I won't use the rest of it.
Yeah.
So we were in Thailand, we got our food. They gave us a ketchup pack of fish sauce. It was genius because nobody uses that much. Well,
no, they don't.
Most people don't use that much fish sauce. Make a packet of fish sauce.
Okay, there you go.
Snack
That's the
Rabbit,
idea.
you heard?
You heard.
And put a fish in it.
Put a fish in it. Exactly.
Goldfish.
All right. Any other business? Anybody?
Come on, hear ye.
Hear ye.
Hereby call this meeting of the toy people.
I do remember.
Queen, didn't we?
Oh, go on. What did you say, Liam?
I said we covered the Queen, didn't we?
We definitely covered the Queen. We can go back over it though, because it's a great topic.
I'm Freddie Mercury.
We could go live to the coffin right now.
Oh,
Yeah, we should have done a check every 10 minutes. Like,
oh my God.
Harrison, can you find the coffin? Go to Sky News.
Okay.
But just no change whatsoever.
Just real quick. Yeah, nothing's happened.
We want to see.
Her coffin is lined with lead. Did you know that?
Yeah.
And it's made of like British oak, so it weighs like a ridiculous amount.
Don't they have to line the?
All
But when we watch,
lead?
Miranda would call it Chernobyl.
Chernobyl.
When we watched the show Chernobyl, Miranda didn't know a lot about the Chernobyl disaster.
Yes, they did.
But when they buried those people who were irradiated,
yes,
they had to be lead lined.
So you're saying
coffins.
the Queen was radioactive?
Well, she's probably a Silurian.
Oh.
Wow.
A radioactive Silurian secretly.
Is that like a lizard person?
Yes.
Yeah, she's going into conspiracy theories.
Yes. That's why they'd use a lead line coffin.
So she couldn't get out.
So she eat our brains.
I mean, that makes sense.
Are we going coffin cam?
Is anybody finding coffin cam? Producer?
Casket cam?
Casket cam. Come on. Can anybody find?
It's a wizard sleeve.
What's a wizard?
Wizard sleeve, and you can't say what it is.
Yeah, you don't say.
Wizards.
You can't say what it is. It's got to be good. All right, everyone. Okay, here we go.
Oh, we got it. Have we got it?
Oh,
Here we go.
live, the Queen's coffin. No, this is when it was taken to the. We want
the QR code.
The live cam of her lying in state right now with people walking past her.
Wow.
Gotta go on Sky News.
You gotta go on Sky News. Someone's gonna find it though, because we have to look. It's kind of weird that there's not going to be a queen for generations, though. I do find that weird.
That's weird even to me, as
right.
You know, just it is a little weird.
It's gonna be
when I was in LA, growing up in LA, there was a store called Tottenham Court. I'll never forget it. It was just like all British stuff, you know. It was
Tottenham.
Little. That's what it was called, and they had everything.
Tottenham.
What is he saying?
I was Tottenham. Anyway, it's just like all these plates and teacups and royal family everything. And
here, I found it.
Maybe I was a weird kid. I was told.
No, I loved the royals growing up. I used to collect. There was like a periodical.
I found it.
Send it to Harrison. Send him the link. There was a periodical that came out, like, and every week there was like the royal family thing. I would get those magazines because I was totally into it. I don't know why.
Interesting how it became such an American obsession too. I don't know. I mean, LA, really? I think it was Hollywood. Okay, but yeah.
It's a strange thing. I think though having a female at the lead of the country really did help a lot of things.
Yeah,
we had female prime ministers earlier than America still has them.
I'm texting this
the way for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that was a good thing.
Of course.
Now it's going to be males.
All the guys to say, of course. Yeah.
No, we got a female prime minister coming in. So
Harrison, did you get that link?
Yo, he's looking. All
right.
No, I sent him the link. I texted him the link.
What's the live cam called? Is it casket cam?
It's called continuous live coverage of the Queen lying in state in Westminster Abbey.
AKA casket cam.
Casket cam, yeah.
Harrison's saying that you just sent him a Google search link, so
click it.
Day 5 in the Big Brother house.
Yeah,
There.
it brings us into Google. So
It's
there it is. Still there.
That's live right now. What time is it there?
This is live.
1 o'clock.
1 in the morning.
oh my god,
There you
it
go.
must be
So
pissed.
this is happening 24 hours. Can I just say that?
But well done for walking 5 miles. That's great.
Yeah.
Who?
that's amazing.
Who's walking 5
The
miles?
people who waited in line.
Oh, yeah. Then not only have they walked 5 miles, they've waited for 10 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
I wonder
drinking
if they
every
got
step of the way,
waved.
too.
They get waved through,
Yeah.
And the other thing,
walking kind of.
the other thing that Miranda was pointing out is that doesn't it suck if you wind up to be the people on the outside queue?
Where's my finger? On these outside lines,
Wow.
There's 2 lines that walk past. So if you spend like 10 hours in a line and then you're on this outside one, you got to be like, are you kidding me? I'm not even close to her.
It's obviously just, I mean, besides the paying respects, I think it's just to say that they were there. You know?
Yeah, we were saying, yeah.
Monumental.
You have to walk into this one room where they take all your stuff away.
Right.
And then they let you through and then they give you your stuff back.
Right. That's holding things up. But that's because they don't want to have just a bunch of this. They don't want
Right. Yeah.
People are going to be like,
everyone would just be like,
"You're an idiot," you know, or two.
Coco is trying to stir up some
Snapchat filter or something. Like,
can we talk about, before we go, can we talk about Kyle's viral video?
Let's.
So Kyle posted
If you
what
don't
he
know,
calls a nonsense reel that he did in 2 seconds.
Okay.
And he's got 1.2 million views on it.
Wow.
This is it. This is the reel. It's a paint mask that he made. That's as big as it is. And it has currently 1.2 million views.
Wow.
That's impressive.
And I know they're not Kyle, because Kyle hasn't watched it 1.2 million.
Wow, that's 1.2 million and one now.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. We're trying to figure out what specifically made that
There's-
one.
there's
I
go
love
viral.
the new world. The new world's great, right?
There's something about
Yeah.
making a video where people don't know what they're looking at.
Yeah.
That's so fucking intriguing that it's just circulating.
I wonder if it's because people think it's a sex toy. That's my theory.
That's a strange sex toy.
Yeah, but if you look at it, you're like, what's that? And then like maybe it's a sex toy, and then people click on it.
That's a tame sex toy, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yo, lightning round, sex toy or not.
I'll tell you, okay, to end the show, I'll tell you a funny
Yeah,
story.
here we go.
So when I first moved in England to the house that we bought, the neighbors were all like, okay, so what do you do? And I'm like, well, I have a magazine about collectible toys, art toys. And so they're like, okay, cool. And then it kind of got around that I was the girl who dealt with adult toys. And so then I wasn't a toy magazine anymore. I was an adult toy magazine. So, yeah.
Why do people always go to that? I've had a lot of, especially when you meet sort of parents with the kids at school, and they say, "Oh, so what do you do? I've heard you make toys." And you go, And they go, "Well, like kids toys." And there's that point, isn't there? Do you make kids toys? And you go, "No."
But I don't make adult toys.
But don't immediately think they're adult toys.
Right. But
Yeah.
there was a time when they were kind of being termed as adult toys.
Yeah.
And nobody really thought about, well, that's not a great term for this genre of art.
It's kind of been coined already, that one.
Yeah, that's taken.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was funny.
No, they
you
Don't
make
you love that
adult
question?
toys.
Who buys these things?
Yeah, that's the best question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of
I
stupid.
don't know.
Is that?
What are they for? Look at that one.
Yeah.
What do you do with them?
Yeah.
It's just a hot dog shaped toy, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think when I walk into any sort of like home decor store, and it's like it's like those paintings that you know are done by just a line of people of like a villa or something, you know, like, or you know what I mean? And it's like, who wants that in there? I don't know. I have that opinion of
Who buys these things?
that's what my thought is.
Thing.
Besides like dental offices.
Yeah, Ghostbox Toys say the same thing at their kids' school. I think it might be the adult toy thing. Exactly. As soon as you say it's toys that are not for kids, they're like, oh, okay, you make sex toys.
Yeah.
Right.
It's worse when your kids tell them.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
My dad makes toys.
But nothing you can play with. All right. On that note, we should call it a day. Thank you, Liam 2PetalRose, for joining us at this late hour. Thank you, Jason Freeny. You're both amazing artists. Check them out on Instagram at 2PetalRose. Is that your Instagram handle?
Yeah.
Awesome. At 2PetalRose. Freeny, what's your Instagram handle?
A gummy fetus.
Gummy Fetus. I knew it wasn't Jason Freeny.
Of course, it's Gummy Fetus.
CZ13, as always, we love you. Thank you. Marty Tanaka, check them both out on Instagram. Check us out, Clutter Magazine. Come to the show on Saturday. We had to move it a week. It's not second Saturday. So we're going to try and open the doors earlier. So come on down and hang out with us. And we also have the glass show, Rainbow Sparkles, and
Drink some Lost Farmer beer.
Yeah.
Have a Citizen Cider.
So
Thank you to our sponsors.
Keep collecting and being well. Bye.
Good night.
Yeah, I love you. Bye.